huge thanks to OK Jazzy. They're your go-to for the 2026 World Cup and an incredible retro archive. They got decades of iconic league classics, from legendary 90s designs to the rarest club heritage kits. Whether it's a high-performance player version or a timeless vintage look, prices start at just £15, 4.5 Trustpilot rating and fast shipping. Use code Chris for 8% off and grab your piece of football history now.
Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another edition of the Fan Show. This is the first one of the 26-27 campaign. And of course, it has been a very, very busy summer for Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. We now have 7 players confirmed in this transfer window. There is 7 days left of the transfer window. Fabrizio Romano has also given us a here we go for Omar Mamouche. Hopefully he will be joining very, very soon. But we've signed so far Dubravka, Robertson, Senesi, Van Hecke, Tonali, Fernandes and Savio. Now, of course, there is a lot of optimism for this season, particularly after the dreadful season last year, just staying up on the final day of the campaign. But of course, our first game in the Premier League did not go to plan, a dismal 3-0 away defeat at Brentford. Now, Spurs are hoping to bounce back very quickly. We have a game on Wednesday evening in the Carabao Cup in the second round at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And then we're back at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on Saturday against Newcastle. So let's hope that it is going to be a good week for Spurs. Now, of course, it was confirmed today that Savio has joined from Manchester City. So there is a lot of excitement because he could make his debut against Charlton on Wednesday. Now, my name is Chris Cowlin, and this evening I'll be joined by Craig Dearman. We're live at the moment on YouTube and on X, so please do get involved. Of course, all of these episodes are also available on all major audio platforms. Now, if you would like to get involved and come on either tonight's show or a future fan show, and I love doing these, by the way, talking to fans from all around the world, please do just send me an email, tottenhamfanchris@gmail.com, and we will get you involved. If you don't want to get involved and you just want to listen to it and watch it and listen to all of the thoughts of the Spurs fans from all around the world, that is great as well. Now, we're here to talk about all things Tottenham. No scripts. You know, the fans are going to come on and talk about whatever they want to talk about, get things off their chest, or tell us how excited they are about this campaign. Now, Craig, good evening to you. How are you?
Yeah, not bad. Not bad. Need a couple more sign-ins for me. Lovely. I'd love to see Marmouche come in. Really excited about that one. Great to have Savio over the line finally. Must be the longest drawn-out transfer in transfer history, over a year of negotiations, I think. And for me, we just need number 9, but I'm sure we'll get into discussing that with all the guests.
Yep. Before we do, just very quickly, give me your thoughts on the Brentford game on Saturday, and how are you feeling about this season? Because, of course, it is not the end of the world. It is not the start that we all wanted, but it is not the end of the world. We know that it is going to be a very, very different team, very different style of play, etc., under Roberto De Zerbi this coming season.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and me included, it's easy to get wrapped up, isn't it? And think, it's one game. Oh God, it's the end of the world. But it is only one game. And look, the important thing is that we got to start putting it right, and it's got to start putting right tomorrow night at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Obviously, the home ground has been a bit of a poison chalice over the last God knows how long. So it'll be good to get off to a win tomorrow. First game at the stadium against Charlton, and then it's going to be a tough game against Newcastle at the weekend. Of course it is, but hopefully some of those players are coming back. Excuse me, likes of Van der Ven, Porro. Strengthen that back line. Hopefully a more familiar back line, and then hopefully the midfield and attack is going to start to tick. But I don't think there's any need to push the panic button yet. Only one game, and let's move on from there.
Right, Craig, I'll be asking you a number of questions throughout the show, but let's start talking to the guests. This is, like I said, I absolutely love doing these shows. Can't wait for this. We're going to go straight to Istanbul to talk to Orchi. Orchi, how are you?
I'm good, Chris. Just getting over the disappointment of the weekend against Brentford, but overall good. How about you guys?
Yeah, like I said, I've got a lot of optimism about this season and Roberto De Zerbi, and I think that when the window closes, I think we'll know exactly where we are as well, and I'm excited. So, Alchi, let's start by talking about the transfer window. Overall, what have you made of the transfer window? You happy?
Yes, definitely. I mean, the club we have to give credit where credit is due. The club are behaving in a way that they've never done before. I mean, when have we ever got six Premier League proven, quality players in literally almost as soon as the window opened? Yes, I know things went a bit quiet the last sort of month and a half or month or so. But the club and Roberto De Zerbi have always made it clear that we weren't finished, that there was still a number of players that were going to come and also some players that were going to go as well. And we know, obviously, Savio today finally got announced, and hopefully Marmoush isn't too far away either. And they could still, even after that, they could still be another potentially like a out and out number 9, and maybe I would imagine the club would want to maybe replace Jet Spence, because at the moment we only have Porro as a right back. Although at his weekend or just before the Brentford game press conference, he did say that probably they weren't going after a right back, because he said, Archie Gray can play right back, can deputise at right back, and obviously we saw against Brentford, he really can't. To be honest, I don't like that. But what I was thinking when I saw the team news for Brentford was that, for example, we do have other defenders. I mean, for example, I think Robertson, towards the end of the Brentford game, he brought on Udogie, put him in left back, and then he moved Andy Robertson to right back. So maybe that's something that he can do, at least for like 1 or 2 games, or when it's necessary. If, for example, if God forbid, if something happens to Porro, or if he gets like suspended or injured, whatever, for like 1 or 2 games, maybe he could deputize. We could have some cover that way. But I would feel much better if we did go out there and get another right back, personally. But overall, I would have to give this window, depending on, obviously, let's get the Marmoush. If we get the Marmoush still, once that's confirmed, I would say that would be like a 9 out of 10 window for me. But if we go out there and, let's say, get an out-and-out number 9, or even maybe Gakpo, seeing his performance at the weekend against in the match,
Newcastle.
I would say, yeah, Newcastle. Sorry, yeah. I would say, and obviously we just signed Savio, Xavi Simons, and Gakpo all played together, so that could be a good bit of understanding as the season progresses. And for example, when Xavi comes back, imagine if we've got Gakpo and then we've got Savio on the left or the right, depending on how De Zerbi sets up the team. That's a very mouth-watering prospect for sure. So I would say, yeah. So at the moment, I would say it's like an 8. Once Marmoush gets confirmed, it's a 9. And if we go out there and get a Gakpo or another, good number 9, I would say that's got to be a 10 out of 10 window this year, for the first time probably since the Premier League started.
Alchi, we had a long discussion in our chat group about myself and a few others have mentioned Osimhen, and why that deal might be difficult to be done. Do you want to explain to people how the Turkish football whole thing works? Because on paper, it looked like pretty much a no-brainer. Spurs could go for him, but it's not quite as simple as that, is it?
No, it's not. Well, the thing is, regardless of what work you do in Turkey, there's this thing where there's so many taxes in Turkey. The taxation is ridiculous. It's crazy. But basically, whoever is your employer, they pay your salary, and they almost pay the same to the government, and also the player, and the worker also has to pay quite high taxes. So to entice these kind of big names to Turkish football, what a lot of the big clubs do, like Fenerbahce, Galatasaray, Beşiktaş, Trabzonspor, is they will basically subsidize pretty much half of the tax that the player has to pay. So in the end, most of these big name players will only end up paying about 20% tax instead of sort of 40, nearly 50%. So the players will get their salary, and then on top, whatever the amount is that the club is subsidizing because obviously the government takes it directly out of the players' bank account. It's automatically taken. So to cover that, the club will then, pay the players, tax, or half, just over half of their tax bill. So that's how they kind of entice these big name players. And they do pay, so when they're negotiating, they negotiate net salaries. So if he's got like a, 350, if he's earning, let's say, £350,000 a week, which is what's kind of reported, it's over 300, I think it's about 350,000 or 325,000 a week. That's basically net. So, the club are paying quite a substantial amount on top of that, which is their portion plus, a bit of his tax bill as well.
Archie, talk to us about your expectations, because of course we know, under Ange we finished 17th, we won the Europa League. There wasn't really any threat of us getting relegated that season, but it was very, very close last year. I remember having a bit of a sleepless night the night before the Everton game, and then of course West Ham, they beat Leeds on the final day. We had to get the job done. We did get the job done in the end, and thankfully we remain in the Premier League. But when you go 17th, and then Spurs spend a lot of money, and I know there's a lot of talk in the media at the moment, particularly after the way that we lost the game on Saturday against Brentford. There's a lot of people in the media can't wait for it to go wrong for Tottenham. But what are your expectations this season under De Zerbi, particularly with the money that we've spent and particularly with the outgoings and the incomings?
Well, I mean, I trust De Zerbi unconditionally because let's be honest, last season when he came in at the end of the season with 7 games to go, we were crashing, like a, jet engine who's lost its engines into the Championship. And we had a team that was decimated by injuries, by suspensions, who had no self-belief. And somehow that man came in and kind of got the players organized. And he obviously didn't have time to kind of instill his style of football, but he kind of calmed the ship and got it over the line and saved us from relegation for the first time in the Premier League era. And seeing, I pretty much, as you guys know, I've watched all the preseason matches. And what stood out to me was it was quite clear that the type of football that the players were playing or trying to play, even if they didn't succeed at times, was that kind of progressive one-touch passing, forward passing, several options. As soon as a player receives the ball, he's got to have several options to pass to. So you could clearly see that's the kind of football that they were all trying to play. So that gives me a lot of hope. And I do believe in De Zerbi. I mean, you have to just look at his also track record. We know the kind of football that Brighton were playing. And, he really is responsible for the way that, Brighton are one of these teams that are constantly trying to break into the top 6 kind of teams. And they always play really well. They always play really attractive football, the kind of football that we want to see at Tottenham. So I'm confident that he will, with time, like he said in his press conference today, things, yes, we all expect immediate results, especially us long-suffering Tottenham fans. But we do have to have some patience, because as good as these players are, as experienced as these players are, they are coming into a whole new club, a new manager who's also finding his feet at the club as well. And I do, as I've said in several videos up to now in the last couple of weeks, I believe that, let's say come game week 5, game week 10, game week 15, as the season progresses and these players kind of get used to playing De Zerbi's style of football and what he calls the soul, as he gives the soul to the team, I do believe that these, not only is our gameplay is going to get better, we're just going to get stronger and stronger, obviously barring any other injury problems that we have. I mean, I think that's the thing. This year, we really need to keep our players as injury-free as possible, and just let De Zerbi do what he does best, which is to organize teams, organize players, gives them confidence. He has a habit of improving players. I mean, even at the end of last season, a number of our players were better under him. They raised their performances under him, and yes, so I have a lot of hope. I mean, I was disappointed, obviously, in the manner in which we lost against Brentford, but clearly we were not ready, and clearly a number of the players that would have started on Saturday were not ready or were not fit enough to start. So, we had that unfortunate result. But in some ways, as I always say, these kind of results can also be a blessing in disguise, because I am pretty sure that he's been working those players really hard in the last couple of days, so that we don't get that kind of performance again. Results, anything can happen on the day, but it's the manner in which, and he again spoke about that in today's press conference, that he wants the players, he says that he knows the players are better than what they showed on Saturday, and that he wants to develop them, and we will, he said, it will take time, but we will get there.
Yeah. Orgy, thanks so much for joining us. We'll talk to you again very soon. Thanks for all the content you've been doing on the channel recently, and there will be a lot more to come.
Cheers. Good evening, guys.
Thank you. Cheers.
Thanks, Orgy.
Right, we're now going to go to Wayne. Gary, we'll come to you next. Wayne, good evening to you. How are you?
Good evening, chaps. Really good. Just sitting in the park, enjoying the sun. Tried to make it home for this, but I thought I'd just park up in the park. But yeah, no, all good. Was raring for a really good game on Saturday, but sort of took the sting out of it, I must admit.
How are you feeling now? Because, like I said, and I said this a couple of days ago as well. Going into that Brentford game, there was a lot of excitement. When I went into the GTEC Community Stadium, everyone there was buzzing, particularly about the transfer window. Everyone expected a lot more than we actually got on Saturday. How are you feeling right now? Because, like I said, we're only one game in. I think the team, and I think De Zerbi will learn a lot from that opening game. And I don't think that we will see many performances like that again with the way that De Zerbi is with players.
Well, Chris, I hope you're right. I really, really do hope you're right. I think, as Spurs fans, we've been scarred for a couple of years. I think that Europa League trophy was unbelievable. One of the best days of my life, like you keep saying. But I think this season did have expectations, very excited. And that game there, that to show no effort, it was just, I don't know. And I think, because we've been scarred before, I thought, oh, this is worrying. Hopefully, now with the new signings, we can crack on and we can get our season started, because what I see on Saturday was just absolutely shocking.
Wayne, we've all kind of been here before with Spurs' bad performances, right? But does it surprise you that there's been so much positivity around this summer because of the business we've done?
Yes.
And I don't want to bring it down, but it has to be said that is it surprising to you that we've seen it before, where the manager came out today and basically said the same things that Conte said, the same things that Jose said, the same things that Poch has said, the same things that Ange has said, totally different bunch of players. You could almost write it word for word. Why is that? What is it about this club? Or does it go on at all clubs?
No, only Spurs. I don't
Come on,
know.
you two. Come on. Let's bring a bit of positivity. Come on.
Chris, you know what? I will be positive. And you know what? Them signings today will be a boost. And let's hope that game against Brentford was a blip, because I do not want to see that for the rest of the season. I was just a bit disappointed about the effort. I think we all was. I think the effort there, losing the second balls and the duels, I think I was more disappointed in that. Seeing the pre-season games, against Hoffenheim and the when we went away to Australia, I see signs there and I thought, okay, but maybe Brentford was just better than us. I think that's probably what it was. I think Brentford were just different team. They were really good.
They were, Wayne, but I have to say, like somebody put in there, it's just fitness. The first half, they should be fit enough to run for 45 minutes is my thing. And I get the fitness thing, but all sides are going to be getting that. And not to put the effort in, I think, like you said, it's the basics, 100%. 100%.
100%. I mean, I think Van Hecker was caught pressing when he shouldn't have been. Bergwijn, I was disappointed in Bergwijn. I thought he was just going to go on and, just give it the extra. But, again, I just got glimpses of the season before and it was just the same old Bergwijn. It's like, Maybe he picked them 11 for the test. I don't know. Maybe that was to say, because I think in the press conference he was saying something about how he knew they sort of wasn't ready. If you know what I mean, it was like it's almost like he knew. So I think that was. But let's just hope it's a blip, boys, because I want us to do well. I want us to just get up that. We can't be doing 17th again. Come on, we can't.
The only thing I'll say about the Brentford game, it was like we were in another pre-season friendly, taking it nice and easy, and it was like Brentford were like mid-season. So I think that there was a huge difference there. But Wayne, let's talk a little bit about some positives, because it has been a very positive transfer window for Tottenham.
It has.
We
has.
We are not used to this level of spending. The signing today, Savio, and the possible signing of Marmoush. How excited are you by seeing those in a Spurs shirt?
Very, very excited. Not to go on a negative, but I mean, Richarlison, he needs to just take the back burn. Let's have Saint. Marmoush, I've always liked Marmoush. I just think City wasn't the right club for him. I think he will probably be the key player for Spurs. I'm hearing rumours about Gakpo as well. I mean, if we can get Gakpo, well, and if we can, play to De Zerbi's system, then it is exciting times and it's positive. I must admit, I am excited. It's just that first game really let me down. I was so like all of us, we were so excited. It's like, yeah, come on, but I was just more disappointed by the effort. So I just don't know what happened there. I think even De Zerbi was a bit confused by the performance that day. So
he was shocked.
Don't know what.
He
was shocked. He was scratching his head.
Yeah, they asked him that on Saturday, and he said he was shocked. But Craig, in football, we can't keep moping about this performance and result. We need to move on. And how important is the game against Charlton on Wednesday? And let me ask you both this question: how strong should Roberto De Zerbi go in this Charlton game? Because Charlton have played 3 competitive games so far this season. They won the first round game in the Carabao Cup, and they're sitting 3rd in the Championship, having won 2 out of 2, and their last game against West Ham United at the London Stadium. So how strong should we go?
I think we should go as full strength as we can. You can't take Charlton lightly. They've got more minutes in the legs than us. They're not going to be a pushover. People think they are because they're a Championship side, but that's, they've been in the Premier League before, and they're looking to bounce back. As you say, they've started very strongly. They beat West Ham, as you say. So they're going to be taking it seriously. So they're going to want to get a scalp in Spurs. They're going to see almost a wounded animal from last year. And obviously after the performance at the weekend, they're going to be looking at that thinking they've got a chance. So we've got to play the strongest team available, in my opinion, and come out the traps like lightning, and certainly with a bit more vigour and determination and speed and everything and desire than we did on Saturday.
What about you, Wayne? Because De Zerbi said today that he has a lot of respect for the academy when asked about Luca Williams-Barnett. Would you start him?
I am in agreement with Craig. I do think we should have a strong side. There's no question. I saw the game against West Ham. They're really, really good on the counter and well organised. Do not get it twisted about this side. They will be coming at us. And it's a day out at Tottenham Stadium. Let's face it. I mean, to go back to your question, Chris, even if I'd like to see Williams-Barnett, there's no question. I mean, whether he starts in, we don't know, but we want to see a strong side and we need to get through to the next round. There's no ifs or buts. Let's do this.
Wayne,
come on, you Spurs.
Before you leave us, anything else you'd like to add about the club or how you're feeling about anything?
Listen, I just want us to see a lifter trophy. That's it. Domestic trophy. Do you know what? Even Premier League is hard as it is so hard. So let's win a domestic trophy this season. That's all I want.
Do you see when you mention trophy, you see my huge smile? I always smile when people mention trophies. It's exactly,
we need trophies. That is it. That is it. It's simple as.
Wayne, thanks so much for joining us, and hopefully we can talk to you again very soon.
Thank you for having us on. Cheers, guys.
Cheers. Thank you.
Cheers, Wayne. Take care.
Right, we're now going to go to Gary. We haven't spoken to Gary for a while. Gary, how are you?
Yeah, good. How are you?
Yeah, How are you feeling about things? How are you feeling about? I don't want to keep going on about the defeat, but so many people in the last couple of days have gone, "Oh, it's terrible." It was a terrible performance, but do we need to keep going over it, over and over it? Or just move on. Charlton, get a win against Charlton, go into that Newcastle game with a bit of confidence and get the fans hyped up, because the signing of Savio, today should get people excited. And let's face it, we only won 3 home Premier League games last season, and this is another thing that needs to change. So hopefully, fingers crossed, it will be a good week for Spurs. How are you feeling about it?
Yeah, I think a bit of everything. Obviously, when you're watching it, you're really disappointed in the performance because you're so excited about the things that they've done in the transfer window, the comments that are coming from De Zerbi saying all the right things. You naturally get excited for a new season, especially after 2 really, really poor seasons, albeit if we take the Europa League out of the question. They're 2 dreadful seasons. So yeah, you're initially negative, and unfortunately, we're our fan base that do get really down very, very quickly, and I can understand that, and I sentiment, I get like it too. We were miles off the pace, and what I thought was quite refreshing is how De Zerbi initially just came out and said, "We're not up to speed yet. We're not there." Brentford, for me, looked like the Brentford of last season. They looked like they just improved in the central area, which they needed to with Singare. And then it was the same Brentford. Whereas we're effectively 3 players off an entire first 11 brand new. Mm-hmm. And I know it's sort of a excuse, I guess, but we are so close. Well, we were, so close to being relegated that we need a little bit of patience at the moment, getting those players in. The clear issue for me was creativity again. We just lacked any creativity, any focus in the forward areas. And again, De Zerbi came out, talked about Bergvall, talked about Mikey Moore, talked about Matisse Tell, even Richarlison said he needed to do better. So he's saying the right things. He's identifying them and coming to us as a fan base and getting us saying, "Look, I need to correct this." So hopefully with Savio coming in and then Marmoush as well. Marmoush is a heck of a football player. I really, really like him. He used to play with Mickey van der Ven at Wolfsburg, so that's even better. There's a slight connection there coming in, and obviously he's played with Savio as well. So it's nice to see there's connections happening in the forward area, and then if we can get one more in up top as well, be very, very happy.
Gary, just want to talk about James Maddison. Rumours that he's going to be out for a little while with a shoulder injury picked up on Saturday. He can't cut a break, can he, Maddison? I mean, he done his knee, didn't he, under Ange, and then obviously he'd had his ACL, and now this. It's weird how some players are just, prone to injury.
Yeah, I feel really sorry for him as well, because obviously he's such a likable character, isn't he? And he's obviously well respected. I thought this could be a really good season for him. Obviously, we don't know the severity of it. Fortunately for him, I don't know if this is maybe the time to sort of say this is it season-wise. Obviously, we're not going to sell him this summer, but I think this might be the last sort of season we have of him. Equally for me, and you were talking to the other gents before me, Luca Williams-Barnett, it's time to shine. It's his time. Let him go out there in that number 10 position. I've watched him so many times for the under-21s. He's really come on in the summer as well. I was really impressed with him in pre-season, albeit one of very few that impressed me. I thought we had a really poor pre-season actually, performance-wise. But I think give Luca a go. Put him in there against Charlton. Put him in the 10 position, and let's see him cook and work. And unfortunately for James Maddison, I hope it isn't as bad as sort of the rumours that are being spread on Twitter at the moment. But it's just sad for him. I think I'm more sad for him really, because he's been through a lot. You get that bad knee injury, missed the Europa League final, then you come back and then it's your first kick of the ball is an ACL tear. It's awful, really.
Gary, in the last couple of days, De Zerbi said last season, those last 7 games of the Premier League campaign, that everyone wanted to kill us, and he doesn't understand why people aren't pleased when Spurs improve. And I'll go back to a quote as well from Ange Postecoglou saying that Tottenham does funny things to people. What is it about Spurs and opposition fans, when Tottenham are trying to improve? Because I've said in the last couple of months that Spurs have had so much criticism over the years of not spending money, not showing ambition in transfer windows. And I'm sure, Gary, you've said the same. Craig, you've certainly said it on this channel many times. I've said it hundreds of times over the years about showing more ambition, giving the manager, the backing that we all want to see. De Zerbi certainly being backed. But why do you think that is with Spurs? Because we've literally been hammered by the media in the last couple of days.
I think we're an easy target for a lot of teams. For a long time, we were a mid-table team, really. Certainly for me growing up, we were a mid-table side. And then once people see that, hang on a minute, they've got this really nice stadium, they've got these really nice training ground, they've got all these nice things. How is that possible? Whereas City, Chelsea were mid-table teams and then just through, family wealth to succeed. And they became a lot of people's villains, I guess. And for villain fans or Villa fans and Newcastle fans, that they don't seem to like that we are similar in the sense that in what we've been spending. They don't like the fact that we can spend it and not be effectively scrutinized for it because we've done it the right way. And it's been horrible. We spent many years, 20 years, not being able to really compete, and we've finally gone out there. Also, I think genuinely, we're one of the biggest clubs in London. You speak to Chelsea fans, who do they hate? Tottenham. You speak to Arsenal fans, who do they hate? Tottenham. You speak to West Ham fans, who do they hate? Tottenham. There's a common dominator there, and that's Tottenham Hotspur. So I think we're a massive club and people don't like it and they don't like success. Same with anything, any walk of life, right? You might be very good at content creating, you might be very good at journalists, you might be very good at graphic design. People will find jealousy somewhere and want to put you down. Unfortunately, it is us at the moment that is happening. And I don't care. We are rebuilding. And you know what? Credit to the ownership, because they've actually put in their hand in their pocket. They've actually put their money where their mouth is, albeit as well, they're making some very good outgoings at the club as well. They're making some money where they need to. And they're protecting longer-term future of bringing those players back. Will Lancashire, for instance, all of us three, I know, wouldn't have wanted to see him go, but we've protected ourselves of potentially bringing him back. So all credit to them for that as well. But to put a bow on it, I think people don't like to see someone doing well and are jealous, effectively.
Craig, can I bring you in here and ask you this question? Because Gary mentioned it about the ownership and the hierarchy really backing this manager, Roberto De Zerbi. And, I'll say it again, we wouldn't have been in the Premier League if De Zerbi didn't come in the door, because that period under Igor Tudor was very, very worrying indeed. It didn't look like we were going to get a point anywhere. And then De Zerbi got us over the line. But Tim Sherwood, after the defeat of Brentford, he turned around and said, well, you can't blame the hierarchy anymore. You can't blame them. This is on De Zerbi. So does it put more pressure now on the manager? Because for many, many years, all of us have always said, we need to show more ambition. We need to spend money. We need to do this. We need to do that. We need to bring in, top class players, blah, blah, blah. Does it, what would be the expectation when Spurs have spent all of this money, and will people be patient with the manager?
That's a really good question. And I actually not sure who people are going to blame now, because you need somebody to blame. And like you say, for many a year, it's been Daniel Levy, ENIC, Vinay Venkatesham, Johan Langer. And especially if we get Marmoush and Gakpo, you can't moan about it. You can't moan about the ownership. You could moan about it in the past, 100%. But this season, to give the manager the tools he needs to do the job, as Gary said, this window would go down probably a 9.5, 10 out of 10. How often have we been able to say that? We've probably had 7s and 8s, if we're being honest, or definitely edging half, 6.5 7s, which probably isn't good enough in a lot of fans' eyes, me included. We're all fickle. But a 10 out of 10 window, a legitimate 10 out of 10 window, I think ENIC would have, and the ownership have basically gone, right, we've spent the money, we've given you exactly what you wanted. Now go out and perform. And of course, a lot of it's got to come down to the players. But I think now it's almost the attention is going to be focused on the manager and the players, because you can't blame anyone else. I don't know what Gary thinks of that.
There was a lot of stuff that came out, wasn't there, since De Zerbi was brought in, and especially over the summer, sort of saying he had him over a barrel in a way of saying, look, I want backing, I want X, Y, and Z, I want this amount of money, I want this player. These are my targets, and I only want those players. And he even talked about being a shark in the transfer market. So in a way, it's going to be on his head, because he's going to come in. He's already trying to change the system what he used last season, which we understand because of the predicament we're in. So that's obviously going to be difficult. But even the number of Brighton players had said before, at beginning, it was like, you're teaching me French, but it's all in German. It's like a completely different language, something I'm not even used to. Right. So that, again, that's something that he's got to really change quickly. He's coming out and saying, I'm getting the players that I want, which we don't always say. I mean, I don't ever hear Ange say that. I definitely didn't hear Thomas Frank say that. So it will be on him, and the ownership have backed him. And as I said before, albeit they have sold really well, so the net spend is low currently. But if we get Marmoush, which will be a loan, which would be 50 million next season, and then maybe another player in, we could be 200 million spent, which again is a substantial amount of money. But he's got what he wants, so he has to hit the ground running. But we do, as a fan base, need to have some patience to allow him to get there, just because of what he has come into, and it's effectively we've got to change 2 seasons of relegation football. And that ain't going to be hard. That's not overnight success.
Gary, lastly, with the level of spending and taking into consideration the patience that the fan base need to give De Zerbi, what's the position he has to finish for people to be happy with this season?
Well, for us and the ownership, I think are 2 different things. I think the ownership want European football, and I think that is number one. There is no, I think that is a complete total failure for him if he doesn't get European football. What that European football is, even the conference for me is suitable. It's fine. Success for me, and I've spoke to you both personally about it. I the first time I can remember watching Tottenham's in the FA Cup. I want us to see us win an FA Cup. 1991 was the last time we did it. I was 6 years old. It's one of the first memories I've got of watching football. And I remember going, oh, my God, we are incredible in the FA Cup, and we haven't won one since. I want us to be going hard into domestic cups, starting on Wednesday. And if we can get ourselves back into Europe, by whatever means that is, for me, is a great success. I just hope the ownership also see that as a success as well, because I always felt kind of under Daniel Levy that the domestic cups were irrelevant to him. And it was, we won Champions League.
Yeah, I think you're spot on, Gary, as normal. Thanks so much for coming on, and always great to talk to you. We could talk to you all night, and this is the problem when we try and bring on people, many people from around the world. We could literally talk to you for hours. So you have to come on very, very soon. So hopefully we'll talk to you very soon. Cheers, Gary.
Whenever you need me. Have a good one, boys.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, Gary.
Right, we're now going to go to Singapore to speak to our good friend and channel regular, Dustin. Dustin, how are you?
All right, how are you?
Yeah, very good. Dustin, how are you feeling after that defeat against Brentford, and how positive are you feeling about the next couple of games?
Not feeling too positive about the next couple of games, primarily because I think that the Zerbi system takes time to bid in, and we were all warned that he tends to lose a lot of his early games, but that didn't happen last season because he compromised the way that he plays in order to keep us out of relegation, and the difficult start that De Zerbi tends to have is now, right? So I think that my expectations were a bit tempered by that and the fact that we've had so many players unavailable. It's a new season, but we still already have an injury crisis somehow. So I think that's kind of if you need to find a reason or you look for excuses for that performance, there are plenty to go around, but some of them are were in our control and we didn't do very well. One aspect I think that I mentioned on the video that was on the channel was that, you know, when you have a preseason that goes all the way to the Southern Hemisphere, it's a 30 over hour flight. And even if you fly direct, it's at least 26 hours. I am from the region of the world that those preseasons serve. But, you know, during a World Cup year, when you've got Pedro Porro that's not even played like the first 2 games because he's been played to the ground, a preseason where the remaining players don't really get to play as much and they fly all the way there and they have jet lag and they come back and they're still recovering. I don't think the preparation was ideal. That and the fact that so many of them have you go all the way there and they play and they get unity, that's fine, but the only games they played that were competitive were Chelsea, Hoffenheim, Getafe, and to a certain extent how competitive was Hoffenheim. The first game was 3-0 and then we played basically a reserve side and still drew 2-2. Getafe was a competitive game, but the wrong kind of competitive game where they kicked lumps out of us, and I don't know whether that exacerbated any injuries. So the competition you pick in your preseason also matters. You have to pick teams that give you a game similar to what you get in the Premier League, and then you pick it based on that, right?
It's interesting, Dustin, because I can't remember what podcast it was. I think it might have been one of the Hoffenheim games. I actually mentioned on the podcast to the panel and said, have we been tested enough? Have we had good enough opposition during pre-season? I tell you what, in the comments, I was absolutely shot down. But I completely agree with you. I think that you do need to pick the teams that you are playing very, very carefully. And by the way, talking about jet lag, I'm still suffering from going to New Zealand and Australia. I tell you, all this time on. But Craig, I think you and I ought to be quiet for a couple of minutes because Dustin, as per usual, has brought some slides with him. So, Dustin, let's give you a couple of minutes to talk through these.
Okay. So basically the slides they cover the first 5 minutes because the first 5 minutes kind of set the tone of the game, and it's kind of why we had so little control of the game. First, you see that Brentford is allowed to just receive the ball, control, drive and pass, and there isn't much pressure on them. And then when you see the next slide, which is Sangare, right? Plenty of space there to receive the ball. And you see one of the problems with having Archie Gray as right back also is that he isn't a career right back. He hasn't spent a long time playing the position, so he leaves gaps. That this is where we concede the free kick from, that Robbo manages to clear just over our own bar. This is all within the first 3 minutes, so that's the kind of pressure we've been under. From the corner, we leave this kind of space available, and the only player that can block a shot from here is Tel. And we know that Brentford are very good at doing this from set pieces. So they float a shot, they float corner over, and Lewis Potter's shot, he shoots it into the crowd. But if he gets a good connection here, within 3 minutes, we're 1 down. The other part is, and this is a trend throughout the game, Bergvall has a dangerous instinct to carry the ball out of trouble. And I think it stems from the time that he was at Jernigan, where he was head and shoulders over a much higher standard than the other players in the league with him. So he was able to do that in that league and get away with it. And he's continued to try to do that here. But if you do it against a team that's as well organized as Brentford, they will shut you down. And I think that positionally, Bergvall does it in a very dangerous position. When he does it as a deep 6, this happens when there are 2 centre-backs behind him, maybe even 1. And if they're split apart, then it's wide open and you've conceded possession there. There have been a number of times last season where he conceded the ball, trying to carry it out of trouble, and basically plays us into trouble. So I think that it's not the worst thing in the world if he does it as an 8 or does it as a 10, because that's where you want to take risks and try to break lines. But doing it as a deep 6 when you're not very secure on possession, it's a recipe for disaster. So then we're very lucky that the shot ricochets wide, and then this is Schade in loads of space, and then we have Van Hecker here who had a torrid game and he's isolated with 2 players, right? And because Gray is out of position, Bergvall has to go over and cover that shot. So the other part is that we had a very uncoordinated press. So you see Brentford here in possession, and then we have very, very late pressure on the left centre back, and even later pressure on the left back, where more basically the pass has gone on for maybe about half a second already, and more still barely in screen. So there's a very uncoordinated jumping up of the right winger onto the left back. Also, again, Gray gets sold the dummy, over commits to the block, and then the cross is attacked by Jensen, but it deflects off John Paul Van Hecker across the goal mouth. So those are kind of like the broad trends within the first 7 minutes. And then I'm just going to skip ahead first, but essentially when we do get a chance, we don't do much of it. Gallagher gets the ball, but instead of passing to the options he has, which, you know, they're not in the best positions, but instead he shoots it to Rosette. Okay, this is the build up for the first goal, and I think after that I'll stop doing this because I'll be doing a full video of the entire game. But I think this is
incredible, by the way. The level of research and time that you've spent doing this. Thank you.
Yeah. So I think the main thing is that this trend had happened for the first 5 minutes already, and now we're in 11 minutes. And you can see that there's acres of space for Brentford players to receive the ball in. They receive the ball, there's still acres of space there, and you can see that we have no players there, and you can see the Brentford player running into space. Lewis Potter receives again, and he is able to carry all the way here without getting any pressure. When he's eventually pressured by Bergvall, then he passes it back, no pressure again, passes it back, no pressure. You have 3 players here, and we're just hemmed into our own final third with very little players within range of being able to pressure them. Sangare eventually gets the ball, again allowed to carry the ball 18 yards, plays the 1-2, and this is where positionally we suffer, where this player, if he moves here, and I'm not sure if this is Tonali, I think it's Tonali. If he moves here, he's able to block off the 1-2. Because at this point, you can't foul him anymore because he's in the box, right? So this player being out of position means that these 2 players get played through too easily. And after they get played through, again, we have this here where Lewis Potter checks his run, but the markers all completely continue. We have 4 players trying to mark 1 striker, and they completely leave Lewis Potter free, and then he scores the goal. So a lot of problems in just general awareness and defensive pressure, and just not really being at the races in terms of intensity, in terms of the way that they are coordinating their press.
It's brilliant, Dustin. Really is. I noticed you picked up on that as well, because I said this on the podcast on Saturday. It didn't look like a De Zerbi team, did it? And the main thing for me was the pressing from the front. Usually high intensity pressing. Why was that? Do you think the players just couldn't do it or weren't fit enough to do it? What do you put that down to?
It's really hard to understand why, because there was a game where they were able, like, I'm just thinking of, let's say, the Villa game, right? But maybe the Villa game was just because they didn't play their first team. But in the Villa game, we had a very good coordinated press where we had, I believe it was Gallagher and Bentancur, and they were coordinating the press together. So, Gallagher was pressing, but he was also looking back to check that Bentancur was following up with him. I think one of the big mistakes here was playing Bergvall instead of either Fernandes or Bentancur, because I think that you needed that experience and that ability to coordinate the press, because there are just too many people in that pressing pack, especially in the final third, that don't have the experience of pressing well. So Richarlison will press and run like a headless chicken, but then if Moore isn't coordinating, all the left wing, the left back is always free, and then Tell's pressing is also inconsistent. Then it's down to like the midfielders or the pivots to coordinate the press. So you might have Gallagher there, but Bergvall isn't the most disciplined about being out of possession and pressing. Oftentimes, I feel that Bergvall tries to take defensive responsibility, but his positional awareness is in an attacking sense rather than a defensive sense. So he's good at positioning himself to attack and to advance the ball. But when he has to defend, he doesn't have the same kind of mindset. So when he tries to defend or help with a pressing system, he doesn't think in the right frame of mind to block passing lanes or have people in your cover shadow or anticipate where people are going to run and block them off.
Dustin, thank you so much for that. And we do look forward to the episode on this channel very, very soon, where you'll be talking more about the tactics. But lastly, how long do you think it's going to be? How patient do people need to be before we see Roberto De Zerbi ball in full swing, in full action, playing the Tottenham way? How long?
It depends on what players are available. So I think that trying to play the system without Porro was our main form of creativity last season. When after Kudus was out, right? Our main source of creativity was Porro, just because the variety of passes he can play. He can play a deep cross. He can play balls behind the lines. And when you don't have that, we just lack a lot of creativity. So I think Porro being in the system is a big part of it. I think that you need Van de Ven back in, because I feel that the pairing of Senesi and Jean-Paul Van Hecker is kind of unbalanced, because they're both not very aerially strong and they're both kind of slow. So I think that there are lots of teams that would pick up on that and just try to pull them out of position and then attack the spaces behind them. So I think that with them, you cannot play a very high line, because they'll be played in behind very easily. And then if you start playing deeper, that means that it changes the way you attack as well, because you have slower centre backs that you can't push up as much, and then it expands the size of the pitch that you need to attack. Whereas previously with Romero and Van de Ven, they were sometimes playing, when we were in possession, they would be playing on the halfway line, because they knew that Van de Ven had the recovery pace. But if you've got two slow centre backs, you can't play that high. You got to play maybe at most 1/3 of the way up the field.
Dustin, are we winning against Charlton and Newcastle?
Depends on what team we put out, because again, we don't know what team we're putting out as well. If we're putting out a strong team, hopefully, but if we do one of those wholesale rotations where the players are getting each other's contacts in the tunnel because they've never met each other before, then we've seen this with many coaches, including Pochettino, where we've put in weakened lineups in the cups and gotten punished for it. So I think from the perspective of trying to start off his first full season with some momentum, I think De Zerbi has to put out a stronger team. And I think the better thing to do is actually put out a stronger team, build up a lead that hopefully you're unlikely to lose, and then you sub the players that need minutes on, rather than bring on the rescue squad, bring on the Avengers after you're already down, and then you're bringing them on in a situation where it's more tense. They're more likely to get injured because they're trying to rescue a situation. I feel you should just start with the stronger players, with the game still in control, rather than trying to recover it after the balance of the game is gone, and the defending team has a chance to pack the box, because now you are the one that has to attack.
Yeah, I think a lot of us have said pretty much that over the years under multiple different managers. Let's see how this one goes. Dustin, always great to talk to you. You'll be back on the podcast very soon. We look forward to it. And speak soon.
All right. Cheers.
Cheers, Dustin.
Right. We're now going to go to Matt. We haven't spoken to Matt for a while. We'll come to you next. Matt, how are you?
Evening, guys. Yeah, I'm good,
mate.
thanks. And long time no see.
Matt, talk to me about team selection for the Charlton game. What do you want to see?
Strong. Got to go strong, especially after the weekend, Chris. And look, listen, we're not in Europe, as we know, so domestic cups got to be taken seriously and go all in. We've got far fewer games this season, so no excuses for me. I'm sure there'll be some rotation. Obviously, Van de Ven hopefully is going to be on the bench. Porro. Don't know whether Savio is going to make it or not in time, but
he's available.
Is he? So there you go. I mean, he's had a strong pre-season. He's got minutes in the legs with City. So yeah, go strong. We've got to go strong. Don't want to be going into the later stages of that game drawing, and the unthinkable going out. So got to go strong and take care of that early on for me. 100%.
Matt, what else, in your opinion, does Spurs need to do business-wise in this transfer window? And that includes outgoings as well.
Oh, good question. I suppose how I feel right now, actually, just thinking about where I'm at. So obviously had a feeling of relief, obviously, the end of last season. Then we've gone through the transfer window, and obviously the early part of that window, I thought was really positive. Moved early, obviously Fernandes with Tonali. You think, right, here we go. And then there was that horrible lull of 5 or 6 weeks with no signings, incomings. And now, obviously, Savio, I think it's critical we get Marmoush over the line for me. I think that's absolutely critical. And I think really kind of where I would be is kind of an 8 out of 10 window at the moment, possibly a 9 if we can get Marmoush over the line. But I think it's just a slight worry not having that natural 9 if we don't get that through a striker. And I think people have got to be realistic and got to shut the kind of media noise out, because you've seen with Brentford the weekend, the pile-on starts with the media and everything else, and the knives are out already. And just got the club have got to shut that out. De Zerbi needs time, and there's lots of incomings. That takes time to gel as a team, doesn't it? You know, that personnel. So I think broadly on the incomings, pretty strong. Could be stronger if we could bring a 9 in, bring Marmoush in as well, as we're saying. I do have slight concerns with Spence, obviously departing. Have we got covered, you know, in terms of fullback, certainly in the right area if we lose Porro? There are others that can makeshift in there with Gray, as we've seen, but I worry about that. But I think it's been pretty strong on outgoings, other than you could probably argue perhaps the fees weren't as good as they could have been for Romero and Spence, but we have got money in, which is important. In terms of kind of outgoings now, if Marmoush comes in, yeah, I mean, if Marmoush comes in, I would be surprised if Richarlison stays. So we'll see on that. I would think they'd keep Solanke, and yeah, I think obviously it's probably going to be Sarr, isn't it? Now that it looks like Bergvall will stay. For me, I wouldn't have been disappointed if Bergvall had gone, to be honest with you. If, you know, when that money was supposedly on the table, with a reason, what was it, 45 million being rumoured, I wouldn't have been upset if we'd taken that money then, to be honest with you, if it had been reinvested elsewhere. But I think it'll be Sarr looking at it. And I think that's right, because we are bloated now in that midfield area, aren't we?
Yeah. Craig, you mentioned earlier about James Maddison. Alistair Gold has literally just posted stating, understand that after some initial worries or about James Maddison's shoulder injury, he should be able to be back playing in just a couple of weeks. So good news, Spurs need him. So all of these rumours about 8 to 10, 12 weeks out, untrue. Football.London have just stated they're 2 weeks. Matt, talking about strikers, if Marmoush comes in, and it does look highly likely this is going to happen, we've been given the here we go from Fabrizio Romano. Yeah. Put in order for me, in your opinion, who is the best with Solanke, Richarlison, Marmoush? Who's the best out of them three?
Marmoush for me. Marmoush,
second,
and then on figures you'd have to say Richarlison and then Solanke for me. But obviously the contractual position is very different with Richarlison and Solanke. And of course, we're arguably going to have a homegrown issue, aren't we? You know, with the quota with players. So there is that kind of to factor in, I guess. But yeah, for me, Marmoush is certainly the strongest out of that three. I know Craig and I have been of a similar opinion with him, and yeah, we'll welcome him with open arms, because I think he's a player that we need. He's fluid. He can play obviously across that front line, off the left, in that 10, in the 9. You just worry that if we haven't got that kind of, you know, things are changing in football, but I do feel like a focal number 9, a killer 9 would complete the squad.
Yeah, I agree. I just want to come back to you on the Jed Spence thing, Matt. I agree. I was surprised when we let Jed Spence go. I personally think, and the question is, do you think could you see the club doing this? I wouldn't be surprised if they try and muddle through till January and then perhaps assess the right back slot in January, because they will see, like you say, Pedro Porro number 1, Archie Gray, perhaps even Kevin Danzo could slot in there. Yeah. Could you see that happening? Because I certainly could. Yeah,
I think it's exactly what's going to happen. If I'm honest, I think that's where we are. Risky strategy, as we know, but I think they will hold on. Likewise, I mean, it's a bit like Kinski when you think with that situation there. Obviously, brought Dubravka in, but I do think Kinski deserves that opportunity in terms of his role. He obviously built a bit of credit up in terms of how he reacted after Atleti, and obviously how the season ended. He deserves that chance, but again, you just wonder if we got the depth there in terms of experience. And yeah, with Spence obviously departing, ideally you'd bring in another experienced right back and a bit of cover. But we do have Archie Gray, like you say, and there are others we can pull on if we need to. But I think they'll just review it in January. Exactly that. I can't see them bringing anyone in now because it's probably to them. I don't think they see that as a priority. You would think it'd be Marmoush, and then they're going to probably focus on outgoings again.
Matt, last question for you. Do you feel different now as a Spurs fan, having seen the club operate in a completely different way in this transfer window? Because when we were linked with the likes of Mateus Fernandes, I think a lot of us thought, well, that's never going to happen. Manchester United are in talks. Manchester United, he's going to sign there. And then Sandro Tonali, when we were hearing £100 million package, I think a lot of us thought, no way are we going to be spending £100 million, because even Ange said that Spurs wouldn't be spending £100 million. But everything does seem to be different. So when we're linked with a decent player now, are you thinking differently, thinking, well, that's going to happen because Spurs are on it?
There's a question. This window, and based on what we've seen, yes, absolutely. However, I would kind of pose caution, and this for me needs to be, this kind of level of intent needs to carry on into other windows. And I suppose the bit of I'm slightly concerned about, like I say, is it a consequence of the board will really they really were looking at staring relegation in the face and what the value of the club that would have done to them. So you just worry, is it actually that can't happen again? We go now, we've gone big, and obviously we've had some high fees and they've showed some intent, but you can't take your foot off the gas. And I'm not expecting every window. We wouldn't want it either, by the way. You don't want kind of the number of players we've needed to do it this window, but you don't want that to be the norm. But in terms of the level of player, Chris, that we're going for, that needs to happen in subsequent windows. I think that's really important. You look at you think back to the days of United, the successful United teams under Sir Alex Ferguson. Even once they'd won the league, they would always bring another 2 or 3 in and top it up, keep that squad fresh and bring in quality. And the important thing here is, for me, is making sure you bring in, which we have done this window, you're bringing in players that improve the starting 11. Because you don't want a bloated squad of mediocre players. You want players that are ready to go. And that is the one thing I credit where it's due. We are bringing Premier League proven players in through the door.
When was the last world-class player we brought into the football club?
World class.
Yep.
You know what I'm going to say, Chris?
Yep.
Jurgen Klinsmann.
Yeah. Craig, what about you? Because when you think of this level of spending, £100 million package for Sandro Tonali, is he a world-class player?
I wouldn't say he gets it. I've always classed a world-class player, and people do bandy around that world class. I think it's overused personally. World class should be, in my opinion, if you're assembling, imagine like it's a World Cup squad of the best players in the world. Should have 2 or 3 players for each position. And if you get into that bracket, you're world class. So I think it's overused. But in answer to your question, no, Sandro Tonali is not world class. He's probably the level below. And the last player we brought in that was world class at their peak was Jurgen Klinsmann. There's no 2 ways about it. You could talk to me about David Ginola, loved him. I loved Bale coming back. Bale was on loan. Bale was past the peak of his powers, even though he made most people in our team look very ordinary, even though he just turned up at about 60% most games. But the last world-class signing, 27 years of age, I think he was, or 28, just won the World Cup. Jurgen Klinsmann, standing on the back of that yacht in Monaco Harbour with Alan Sugar.
Yeah,
it was unbelievable, and we very few and far between. I get somebody said Rafael van der Vaart. I don't think Rafael van der Vaart was world class when we signed him. Great signing, great player. I don't think he was world class.
Okay, last question, Matt. So, have we bought a potential world class player in this transfer window?
Possibly, yeah. I do think Tonali's got another level. I do think Tonali potentially has got another level. Marmoush, let's see. And, jury's out for Savio when you look at his spell at City. But Girona, he had strong stats and he's young. So, there are players there that have got some years ahead of them. It's just going to require a bit of patience. I think that's for everyone. I think the fans recognise that. You've got to remember what De Zerbi's done here.
Yep.
Like I say, everyone's got to shut any of the noise out from the media, from rival fans, focus on what we're doing. Back the manager, like the board have obviously shown intent this window, and the fans have got to do the same. Because what I love, I mean, I've always liked De Zerbi. I wanted him in last season when there was the talk of Pochettino. I felt De Zerbi was the right fit at this time, and he has that. For me, is that perfect blend in terms of his traits. Are you've got the Pochettino vibe, but you've also got a bit of the passion of Conte. You know, with him, and I just love everything about him, and I just think everyone's got to get behind him personally, and I think just got to appreciate there's the numbers that are coming in. Like I say, it's going to take a little bit of time for that team to gel, and you would like to think kind of you get to September, then they'll start to find their rhythm, because I think October, I'm right in saying I'm pretty sure we've got Man United away, Chelsea away in that month. So we need to find our form and rhythm come autumn.
Yeah,
and I think for the next game, got to beat Charlton, and I think minimum 4 points from Newcastle and Forest away.
Yep. Matt, always great to talk to you. Thanks so much, and we'll talk to you very soon.
Brilliant.
Cheers,
Thanks, chaps.
Cheers.
See ya.
Right, we're now going to go to Wes in the USA. Wes, how are you?
I'm good, Chris. How are you? Hey, Greg.
Hi,
Yeah,
Wes.
very good. Wes, how are you feeling about things over there?
Man, there's so much I need to touch on, and I'm gonna try to do it in a timely fashion. But
Wes, do you know what I like about you? We don't really need to ask you many questions, so go for it.
Crack on, Wes. I'm gonna sit back and listen.
So first, really just to be on how the front office has operated during the summer. I think they've operated like we have, as fans, been wanting them to operate. We've been getting the players. They've been sticking up the money. We can't complain about that, But we do need to understand that it takes time to incorporate new players, especially to the new system. We know that De Zerbi, he set up the team at towards the end of last season to a way for us just to survive. Really, that's really what he was just aimed to do. He didn't do no real tactics to what he really wanted to do for the next season. Now he has to incorporate his real tactics for the season, and that's going to take some time. How long? Who knows? Who really knows it? But I do think with these next two games coming up, I think he needs to go strong with Charlton. We haven't faced Charlton since 2011 in the FA Cup round. I think it was January 9th, 2011. Yeah, is the last time we faced Charlton. That's when we had Andrew Townsend, Defoe. They're the ones who scored. We won that game 3-0. And this Charlton this season looks like they're not no push around club. We need to take them seriously, and I don't want to be embarrassed like we were against Brentford in the first game. I think he needs to show that, hey, he can put out a strong squad. We can play well against a lower opposition, get some confidence, and then go into Newcastle. So I think that should be the first hand order. Sevilla, he seems like he's going to be ready for tomorrow. He's going to probably just come off the bench or something like that. Same with Van der Ven and Porro. So that's good news. When it comes to Maddison, man, he may have one more year with me because the injuries. I understand we can't help about injuries. If you get injured, but the best availability, the best attribute is availability. And he has.
Wes, sorry to interrupt you there. Talking about James Maddison, David Ornstein from The Athletic has just tweeted, James Maddison suffered slight fracture to shoulder after falling in Tottenham Hotspur loss at Brentford on Saturday. Scans showed minor damage and hoped Spurs midfielder back in 10 days to 2 weeks. Trained yesterday, so optimism not serious. So just thought I'd add that.
But this seems to be a constant thing. It's like if he gets touched, I have a broken finger. And I'm sorry. once that kind of little tick-to-tack injuries start happening, I'm like, okay. And then he's 30. It may be time to go ahead and, cut our losses. I'm not going to lie. I know that's, sad to say. I know a lot of people, they love Maddison. I do like Maddison a lot. I think when he has played for us, he's very good. When he has played for us, he's one of the reasons we got to that final in the Europa League. To be honest with you, a lot of people forget that. He was one of the key reasons leading up to us getting to that final. But the injuries have just been creeping up on him since he's been here. And it was the same kind of thing, similar when he was at Leicester, if I'm not mistaken. So, it comes a point in time where you can't just keep wasting, he's on decent wages. We can use that wages on somebody who's actually going to play. I know that sounds whatever sounds very cutthroat, but this moment I'm gonna be cutthroat because this team has just not have been up to snuff, and it's been because of injuries and one thing after another, and I'm just sick of it, like I'm sure other fans are. To go on like what happened at that Brentford game, that was horrible. Just to go ahead and just knock that out. I know I'm going all over the place, but just to start with Brentford, that was horrible. Horrible first game. I think De Zerbi got it wrong. I think a lot of people are not really talking about De Zerbi getting it wrong, but I think he got it wrong. Putting Gray as the captain is, I don't know. I don't know about it. I don't know if he's ready for that kind of responsibility, and it showed during that game, sadly. He also is not a right back. I saw how he was doing his movement. I played right back, and he was out of position a lot of times. He didn't know when to go up and attack and when to kind of be balanced where the defensive line is for Tottenham. And I think that caused him to get into a lot of trouble throughout that match. And they were really keen on him, especially. It was definitely part of the tactics to key in on him because they knew that wasn't his natural position, and it showed. He's a little too slow on the ball for me, also at that position. He's really more of a defensive midfielder. He's not really in a little bit of an 8. I understand that we keep on trying to put him in these different positions and saying that he can do that, he can do this. I really only see him as really a 6 or 8, possibly, and that's barely as 8. I really see him more as a 6. And I think that's where his attributes lie. You can tell by the way he moves, movement. The way the Korean Spurs fan was saying how Bergvall, he tries to try things in front of our goalkeeper box, and it doesn't work out, and he ends up losing the ball on our end of the third. I think he's more meant to probably play in more of a 10 or 8 than Gray is in those kind of positions. I think Gray is more. He would have not had tried to dribble past 2 players. He would have made the right decision and got us to get out of a dangerous situation. If he got the ball back in that kind of defensive area, while Bergvall, he's more the one where he is more of a creative when he tries to do certain things. I think that's more suitable for him to be up higher up the pitch, being more of in a box to box role or being more of in a 10 role. I think Bergvall is more capable of playing a 10, at least better than Gallagher. Actually, to speak on Gallagher, I don't know why we got him. I really don't. I said that from the beginning. I don't understand why we got Gallagher, why we're paying him such a high wage. I think that was really a moment where the front office was just trying to throw anything at the wall and trying to get anybody to handle our situation that we were in January. And I think that's kind of kicking them in the butt because I don't understand why we got a player like Gallagher. To me, he offers absolutely nothing. You're in the dumps when he changed his number from 22 to 8, and people were mad that he took number 8. Like, you're in the dumps with the fan base if people are mad because of a number. And he kind of is. And he even said so himself towards last season. He said so on one of the publications. He said that the fans think I'm, not it, that I'm not capable. And I think you're not capable until you show otherwise, and then that first game was just adding more on to the fire that you're not capable. And your days of when he was playing for Chelsea, I think is way past him. And clearly he couldn't get into the squad really with Atletico as well. So, Gallagher, that was like one of the commentators was saying, it was a stupid signing. It was a very stupid signing. I don't expect him to be on the team next year. I expect him.
Wes, I want to know, over the last couple of years when you've come on, you've always been positive. What's happened? What's happened to you?
I'm being positive. Now, just give me to get to that part, though. Let me get to that part. I don't get on.
You've turned into Craig. You've turned into Craig.
Yeah, I don't get on so much, so I have to go ahead and knock out all the stuff that has happened that I have to go ahead and say. But I am positive on the season still. It's early in the season. It was one game. I understand we're getting kicked to the side of our behind from other fan bases saying, oh, it's the same type of, we knew, I think we all were prepared in the sense that it wasn't going to happen immediately. We didn't have the best preseason. Our preseason, I don't understand why we keep doing all this travel to different countries and not preparing correctly. I think we need to kind of lay off of that until we're more established and to actually being a top side before we start doing the whole tours and stuff, which is cool. I'm sure you have fun going to all the tours and stuff, but
do you know what, Wes? Do you know what? When I go on these tours, you can really see what it means to the people who live in these places. They absolutely love it. So I hear so many times people in England and various other countries saying, "Oh, why on earth do they do this? Why do they do this?" But most Premier League, top clubs do this for the commercial value, for the reach, etc. So I can see exactly why they do it. But like I joked about earlier, I'm still recovering, and I tell you what, when they went to New Zealand, 26 hours to get there. They were only there for 42 hours. Then they flew to Sydney. And then right in the middle of it all, like Antonin Kinski, I think they got in at 2 a.m. and then 12 noon, which was like 10 hours later, he's doing like a media appearance in front of, everyone at a lunch. So, yeah, it is full on for a lot of these players, but I do understand why they do it.
Yeah, it's important for the international fan base. A lot of people feel like we're not a huge club. We are a massive club, guys. We're international. You should see here I'm in Atlanta, and we have several different bars and pubs that are dedicated only to Tottenham Hotspur, and thousands of people go and visit those bars and or pubs throughout the year to see Tottenham play. Every so often. I know there's one big one where Atlanta Spurs fan club is that I go to, Manny's Bar in Atlanta, and we're big. We're big here in the States. We're big here in Canada, South America. We're big. It's actually insane if you really think. And I hate when other fans from other fan bases think we're not of the caliber. We really, really are internationally. So I understand why those preseasons are important, but I just remember De Zerbi talking he was like, kind of don't want to do the touring. He kind of wants to just be at the training ground and just prepare the team. And I understand him on that side. I think this is one of the main reasons was that first game. He knew he knew in his mindset that I don't know if we're going to be ready, but he just went ahead and went with it, and the result was the result. To also just to get on some of the other players, not really get on, but kind of still. I'm happy we got in Sevilla. Took forever. I think it seems like De Zerbi is so keen on him breaking out. This is going to be his breakout season. And I'm just going to back the manager on. This is one of the, we keep saying we want to back the manager, and this is one of the key signs. He said this was his plan A when it comes to the winger position with Sevilla. So I'm expecting of course, I can't expect him to score 25 goals or something crazy the first season. I am hoping he gets double digits in one of those two categories, either that's assist, goals, or just chance creations. I think that would be enough. And if he just shows intent whenever his ball carrying ability and just the beat 1v1s and stuff like that, he'll be fine. I think fans will fall in love with him automatically. So I'm very high.
What do you think? Will we get more goals from Savio or more smiles from Craig this season? What do you think?
I think you mean, I don't know. I don't know, Craig. It's according to how the season photo. I don't know. It could be either or, but I hope more Sevilla scoring. I hope.
He's different putting on this act all the time. I must admit.
Yeah, you really don't know because to me he's more of a chance creator, and I think that's where De Zerbi is really going to have him, and he's going to probably have Marmoush be more of the actual scorer.
He excites me more with Marmoush. Matt, I agree with what Matt said. Marmoush really does excite me. I wanted him when City signed him, and I think people are going to be very surprised with him on Marmoush. I think he's going to hit the ground running.
He's going to be the number 9. I want people to know that. Everybody's saying we still need to get a traditional number 9. I'm like, no, I think Marmoush is going to be the number 9. I'm not joking. I just don't think Richarlison. They're already saying there was rumors immediately once we got to Here We Go from Fabrizio, boom, rumors came out saying Richarlison was pretty much not in the plans no more. That kind of tells you what it is going to be. Now, Solanke, he's going to have a part to play. I think he needs to be still given a chance for a full year of him being healthy. I still think he's a better player than Richarlison. I know stats-wise that have not showed, but I do think he's more capable to play De Zerbi's system than Richarlison, and I think that was clear as day. We look at that Brentford game. Richarlison is just not it. He doesn't know how to hold up the ball. I don't know what he does. He just runs, and I'm just sick of him. I'm about done with Richarlison. He scored us some goals, here and there. He has his moments, but it's nothing. He only scores when we're down 3. He'll put us up 3-1. It happened in those kind of moments. He'll score like the who don't care goal. He never scores for us when it's us trying to win a game or win a match. And that's my problem with Richarlison. So I think we need to cut our ties with him. That was a waste of 60 million. But you know, he was here on the team where we won the Europa League, so I can't get on him too hard. But that's just where he's at right now. But I do think Marmoush is going to be the number 9. I think he'll be probably like more of a false 9, you know, because he likes to play that tiki-taka, De Zerbi, and I think that's where we're going to go. Now, who we go after for the other winger, either when Kudus get back, either are we going after Gapco? I'm not hearing Leao, but now I'm hearing Leao done said he doesn't want to go to Tottenham. There's a lot of stuff going on right there, but I do think we are looking at Leao if Gapco doesn't work out, because Liverpool is looking for some signings before they even let him go. I think we do got probably Leao as like another plan C probably, but Leao probably, you know, is probably not the main option that De Zerbi wants, so that would be a problem within itself as well. What else was I trying to see? Ooh, there's a lot. Any question I got for me before I go into it? Because I do have a couple notes.
I was going to say, we've got a lot of people waiting. We're going to have to get you on the podcast. I know you are one of our guys who likes to talk a lot, and I love that. And you've got so much to say. So we're going to have to get you on a longer show. But last question for you. Where do you think Spurs will finish at the end of this season? Do you think that, you know, because the club, I'm sure, this level of spending, they are probably thinking that De Zerbi is going to get a Champions League finish. I think that, you know, some fans are getting carried away. Some fans are you know, more feet on the ground and saying, well, if we can get in a European spot, I think that will be good for us. I'm one of those. And you've got some people saying, oh, you know, based on Saturday, we'll probably be a mid-table team. Where do you stand?
I think I knew we're gonna start off probably slow, but I don't think that's going to the first game at Brentford. I don't think that's going to be the determining factor of our overall season when we get to the end. Once we get to May, I think we can be at least top 10. I think top 10 is realistic. You know, wherever we finish in that top 10, who knows? But I do think we can get to at least top 10, maybe fight for a Europa, maybe with if we like just start really clicking all cylinders with the players we have, and maybe injuries is not as prevalent because of us only having once a week games. I do think we have the potential of course, getting into that top 5, top 6. I think realistically we're top 10. I just think really realistically, just to keep it safe, because just too many things that we got. Like we don't have an actual natural backup right back. I think that's going to be a problem later on. We already having problems with the 10 position. I just think some of that stuff is going to be very interesting. That could mess us up when we don't have the right depth throughout the season. So I think is actually pretty decent. I think, and that would be a significant upgrade to what has been happening the last 2 years.
Well, it's always great to talk to you, and we'll get in touch with you very soon to book you in for one of the longer podcasts. So thanks so much.
Yep. See you guys.
Cheers.
Cheers, Wes.
Right. We're now going to go to our good friend Richard. Richard, how are you? Rich, how are you feeling?
Hey, how's it going? You all right?
Rich, how are you feeling about stuff?
Ah, Richard.
There's always one. It's like our performance on Saturday. Oh, the camera's off now.
I can hear you now.
Rich?
I can hear you now.
Richard?
I can hear you.
Good. How are you feeling right now? Particularly after the performance on Saturday? Are you feeling more positive? Is it a case where we just need to put this game behind us, learn from it, and move on extremely quickly and get a win on Wednesday against Charlton, and then take that into Newcastle?
I think after listening to Wes, I feel worse. I think for me, it's it's a game of it was just very slow. I think a lot of the players didn't really show up, didn't really understand what the expectation was. I think also you've got to think it's away to Brentford. Brentford are a team that obviously finished really well last season. Good organised team. I think there's been a lot of obviously eyes on the team with the signings that we've made up to this point, and there seems to be a real narrative around the Tottenham story, and for me, I think the first game of the season, especially away from home, it's always going to be a tough one, especially against an opponent like Brentford that are going to give you the ball, hit you on the break, be very organised, very hard-working. Obviously, the manager, Keith Andrews, had set out to really make a statement in that first game. And like I said previously, Chris and Craig, that obviously when you look at the team, they were very organised. They were a team together, and we were just a bunch of strangers. A lot of the players didn't really understand what their roles within the game were, or actually the intensity. I think the intensity itself was the real issue for me. From minute one, I was expecting them to go really hard against Brentford and kind of throw themselves into tackles. And I didn't really see any of that commitment. I didn't see commitment, I didn't see desire. I thought when we went 1-2 goals down, I didn't see any resilience. I think De Zerbi was not in his normal self on the touchline as well. After the second and third goals were going in, he looked very insular, and I think normally he's kind of really shouting at the players and directing the players from the sideline, and I didn't really see that. I think it was
he was Rich. He was. I can tell you he was. Yeah.
Well, every time the camera went to him, he was just sitting down with his head in his hands, and I think from a fan's point of view, I think it's great knowing that he was obviously doing that actively, but it obviously from a player's point of view, a lot of those players really did let the manager down, and that's something that's going to, I think, hold those players to account moving forwards, whether they get loans or sold because of that lack of commitment. It really shows, doesn't it? It really shows that they didn't actually learn anything from last season or have any momentum from those pre-season games moving forwards. I think some of the criticism that some of the younger players has got, obviously, like you say, some of the younger players are still learning their craft and trade, and I think that some of the older players really need to stand up and be counted. But obviously, we need to move forward as a team, and if some of those younger players need to go out on loan, then so be it.
Richard, you mentioned, it's funny, you mentioned that pose of Roberto De Zerbi with his hands on his knees. We've seen that from Ange. We've seen that from a lot of Spurs managers over the years, haven't we?
Yeah.
I just want to go back to something we were talking about earlier and ask you specifically, because you're an elite athlete. Does doing all that flying affect you that much when you're traveling that far? Because obviously you've done marathons all over the world. Do you find it affects you as much as people said it did?
Hold on. You didn't ask me that question. I've run marathons as well.
I said, no, Chris, I said elite. I said.
He also said run marathons, not eat them.
Who needs friends like you two?
Anyway, going back to that question, Craig, and how professional are you this season? I can't believe that. So, Richard, let's ask you a question. How professional have you? You've definitely been on some elocution lessons or something, Craig, because normally on the podcast it's effing and jeffing, and it's like throwing your toys out the pram. So
he's basically saying, Craig, that you were crap before.
Yeah, well,
that's exactly what you're saying.
Chris sent me on an elocution and media training course over the summer. So. He didn't. I've just
But no, going back to your question, Craig, it's obviously it's key to preparation to any sports performance, and it's not just the travelling, but it's preparing for success. And I think that's really important to understand as fans, that before they step over that white line, that team needs to do everything in their powers, and the team around them, for those players to just go out there and perform. And if players are saying they're fatigued still from flying, that is ridiculous. Like, that just shouldn't be happening. But as we know, and as Chris knows, because he goes on all these tours, a lot of these tours are planned in advance, and their commitments to obviously the fans worldwide, the brand worldwide, but also as part of the narrative of the team and getting the team out there. And that's why we're such a worldwide name, obviously, like Wes alluded to in the last call. And for me, it's an excuse. I think the players cannot use because when you think about a lot of the players that going on their international duties and then coming back into the squad and then playing, I think there's lots of balls to juggle around sports performance, like nutrition, like training, injuries, recovery, etc., etc. And those are the things that the back management, the physio team, etc., manage. The thing that again that is starting to create those kind of memories from last season, the season before, is some of our players recurringly getting injured, like Maddison, like people like that having injuries. And again, you look at some of the tackles and some of the scenarios where they're getting injured, they are not robust. They are not robust as players. If after the first game they're getting those injuries, they're either going into the games not fully fit, carrying an injury, or they're not robust enough to be able to handle the fast-paced physicality of the Premier League. And that's something that I think De Zerbi really does need to look at when he's recruiting the players. Are these players going to be able to last the games? Are they robust enough? Have they got the history of going through a season and playing all seasons instead of playing 10, 15 games? Because over the last 3 or 4 seasons, it's now getting ridiculous. You look at our injury list from Mourinho, Conte, all the way through to Ange and then into this season. I cannot believe the quality of player that we've got that's on the injury list. And it always has come back. Like last season, it came back to bite us around our league position. If all those players were fit and healthy last season, whoever was managing us, we wouldn't be in the same position.
Rich, there does seem to be a lot of, I don't know whether negativity is the right word, but I thought that this would be a lot more positive show than what it has been. Yes, we lost 3-0 on Saturday, but when you look at the overall picture of the amount of change and what De Zerbi did last year, what we can expect under De Zerbi this year, I'm very optimistic for this season. But as Craig mentioned, as an elite athlete like yourself, how important is it that you literally park that where you've just lost 3-0 and now move on to the next games, move on very 100%. Quickly, improve and learn from it?
Yeah, and also kind of all the rubbish that's being said in the media about the team and the players, and you just see it daily. Or it's like that again, that narrative of Spurs are spent big to be 17th again. And for me, that's not going to happen. I think we've got structure now in place where those players that were around the team that were either hanging on or just not really adding value to the team are getting pushed out the door. And we've said time and time again, haven't we, that those players that don't perform should be pushed out the door. And I've always said that as well. I've always said that if we want to be a Champions League team again, we need to have a starting 11 that's a Champions League team that deserves to be in that top 4. And I think our starting 11, everybody fit, can compete with anybody. I really do believe that. You look at the talent potentially with the new signings coming in, how effective that will look, the weapons that we could have coming off the bench. I think optimistic is definitely the word. I think we can go to some of these away games like the Chelseas and the Arsenals and be competitive and look to win those games where we've not done very well. I just think it's that momentum that we need to have in going into the games that's so important. And this first game hasn't helped. I think it's just a bump in the road. I really believe that getting those leaders back on the pitch is so important. I think he made some mistakes at the weekend. I think the side was too inexperienced within age and didn't have the leads on the pitch for when we were suffering. to then kind of really dig in. That's what I didn't see. I think having Archie go as captain, I think that wasn't a good move. But like obviously he kind of dug his own hole with that, with obviously having those 5 captains, and he was number 5. I think you need to have somebody that's willing to roll up the sleeves and really battle. And I think having somebody as young as captain, I think at that stage, away from home, 1-2, 3-0 down, he wasn't the player. And I think there was 5 or 6 other players that really didn't shine in those kind of tough moments.
Richard, last question for you. Where are Spurs going to finish this season?
No, Craig.
Come on.
No,
come on.
He stole my question. He stole my question, Rich.
Craig, you're boring me. Craig, absolutely boring me.
Craig,
you don't like answering that, do you?
Craig, how could you not know? For years that Richard's been coming on, that's always the question I ask him, and he gets so wound up by it. Or have you done it on purpose?
That's why exactly why I asked it.
I'm just hoping we get Timo Werner in the transfer window. That'll even make me more.
I'll rephrase, Richard. Are we going to finish top half?
Well,
Yes,
Richard's standard answer is normally 5th.
Yeah, it is normally 5th. You're right,
Yeah.
and that's where I actually think we'll finish this season. 5th.
There you go.
Yeah,
Told you. You could have asked me that, Craig. You could have asked me that.
Yeah. I'll take that.
And I think when you look at the teams, around the kind of top 10, you look at the teams in that first game of the season, the Liverpools, the Newcastles, the so-called Aston Villas. There's only probably 3 or 4 of those teams that really kind of put in a performance that you could kind of say, actually, they've showed their true colours. Brighton, I think, really played well. Brentford clearly, obviously, played really well against us. Obviously, Arsenal and Man City only just obviously pulled it over the line with obviously a last-minute winner. But I just think the first game of the season never really defines the actual season, and I'm glad it doesn't, because we obviously were terrible. But I think we need to look positively in the future, because the club's really making statements in changing obviously the players. And I think when we go on the podcast now, we can kind of go, actually, the manager got everything he's asked for. Remember, like, he's the only manager that I can really remember that he said, my first choice in that position, we went out and we got him. And that's what he's literally said in some of these transfers. And I think that's where De Zerbi really needs to kind of show that we can get some consistency on the pitch, and we can really showcase what kind of club we are. We're going to be an attacking team. We're going to be exciting, and hopefully we can get those results to take us up the league. 5th.
5th. Rich, always great to talk to you. I look forward to seeing you on Saturday for some pie and chips.
Definitely pie and chips, mate. Definitely pie. Craig, always nice to see you smile, mate. It's always great to see you.
Don't happen often, does it?
No, it doesn't.
He smiled twice. He smiled twice on this show so far. Cheers, Rich.
See you, Richard.
Right, we're now going to go to New York to speak to Lee. Lee, how are you?
Hello, chaps.
Hello.
Great to
Lee,
see you.
How are you?
Very good.
Lee.
I look a bit more sunburnt. I'm not actually the sunburnt. It's just the light. It's weird.
What's the weather like over there?
It's really nice, but I think yours has been hotter. I think you may have had the hottest summer. All I keep seeing is like grey grass, and but it's been a belter of a summer. Thanks.
Yeah, well, is the sun going to be shining for Spurs this week against Charlton and Newcastle?
Nice little segue there. I think tomorrow we're going to see a different Tottenham. I mean, we have to, frankly, but I think the home support. I'm totally agree with everything Rich said. Hopefully, it's just a bump in the road. Hopefully, and we were playing against a super physical, super well organized team, and it was probably maybe the worst team we could have played for our first game, because they basically just beat us up, didn't they? So I would hope against Charlton that with the home crowd and a bit more confidence, that we'll show a bit more. But it's going to come down to how long this thing takes. I mean, he's talked about soul and style, the soul of the team and bringing it together, and then style, obviously, how we play. I would, typically that's what preseason is for, but he hasn't really been able to execute that for World Cup players coming back and new signings. So it's really just a question of how long is it going to take to go from 11 strangers to something that's cohesive, and how many points will we drop to get there? And I don't have an idea, but I think maybe it's a couple of weeks. I mean, hopefully we start at least get a performance on the books, because there wasn't a performance to point to on the weekend. So I think start with a good performance, and confidence will come from there, hopefully.
Lee, I didn't think pre-season was exhilarating. That might be something to do with the travel. Did you see anything in pre-season that made you think this is De Zerbi football? Because I said earlier, I haven't seen much De Zerbi football yet.
No. I mean, I watched a decent amount of it. That I feel like there were bits against Chelsea, which may have just been because people were like Conor Gallagher putting in tackles and showing a bit of heart. But I said in the video I recorded after the game, like I was just confused by pre-season. A super long trip with essentially the academy, and I get why we do those trips. It's for the fans, the brand, all the rest of it. But then the sort of behind closed doors sort of practice matches. Some of these matches weren't even 90 minutes. So I was just confused by it. I mean, you watched the games on Spurs Play. I only saw highlights, but I wasn't sure what we were getting out of it. It was either, are you getting the fitness? Are you getting the cohesion in how you're playing? Are you getting a sort of combative experience? It just looked all a bit undercooked. And I think maybe, after the weekend, it was a bit like, well, I went straight to like, is that why that it's not just these new players coming and everything else? It's just that our pre-season just seemed really peculiar based on previous years. I mean, you'd know better, Chris. You've gone to every one of them, but just seemed like a strange lineup and a strange approach to pre-season.
Yeah, I've said a few times, I think it was very difficult for De Zerbi to have that squad that he had available, and the World Cup certainly didn't help. But it weren't only De Zerbi that had this issue; it was a lot of clubs, and not even Pedro Porro has come back. So he'll be on the bench against Charlton. So hopefully it can be very different, and hopefully this team can look very different in a couple of weeks' time. What I wanted to ask, Lee, is who. There was a lot of people saying last season about when you walk to the stadium or you turn the TV on, who are the star players? Who are you looking forward to seeing most? So when you turn on the TV or when you fly over to England to watch Spurs play, who are the stars now? Who are you really looking forward to seeing gelling into this team and playing very well?
I mean, I'm definitely really excited to see Tonali, just because I think we've missed that midfield general. I mean, I know he doesn't score a lot of goals and he doesn't make tons of assists, and there is the kind of the anomaly with him. But I just think we've lacked a player who can control midfield for I don't know how long, and not just control it from a sort of defensive standpoint, but actually sort of be the conductor of the orchestra, if you will. So I think Tonali. I think we're all waiting for Kudus to come back. Kudus, X factor. We saw glimpses of it that first third. At some points, he was unplayable. If he can get back to that, and then Craig's favorite new player, Savino, whatever he's called. I mean, it's exciting, but we don't know. And Craig could be right. He could be the next, Tell, or he could be the next, hot thing. We just don't know. But I'm excited to see him. But I get what De Zerbi's done, and that's why the weekend was so disappointing, because he's got built in theory a more solid base at the back, a midfield that in theory can control games. Again, that cameo from Fernandes, he looked really exciting. But I think getting Kudus back would be a big one, just because he's got that X factor.
Kudus was good under Thomas Frank, so imagine him under De Zerbi playing the way that De Zerbi wants to play. Craig, who will be Tottenham's front three when we get Marmoush in? Savino now, of course, has joined, or Savio has now joined. And when these injured players come back, the likes of Kudus, Javi Simmons and Kulusevski, etc., it's going to be quite a decent squad in the attacking area. I know we've been moaning and complaining, saying there's not enough creativity and where the goals coming from, etc. But when you think about these players coming back as well, who is going to be the first choice front three?
It's kind of a nice problem to have, and that's what all the best teams have, isn't it? Obviously, when you look at City, Haaland is a shoe-in for the number 9, but around him, who would Pep have picked, last season? So I don't know is the answer. I mean, I would imagine if Marmoush, depends if we get another number 9 in. If Marmoush is being brought in to play through the middle as a centre forward, I think he's going to be first choice. On the left, you would think at the moment it looks like it could be Savinho, but that position for me is still up for grabs. We don't know. I certainly hope that Savinho or Savio hits the ground running and shows everybody exactly what he can do. And I think a lot of people will they're waiting to see the real Savio sort of thing, because we've not seen it yet, and that's where my doubts came from. I'm not saying he's a terrible player. He's not. There's no way he is. But is he ready to go to that next level? Because that's what he's going to have to do at Tottenham to maintain that left wing slot like Son did for so many years. And on the right, you have to say it's probably Kudus when he's fit. But with Kulusevski perhaps pushing him, or is Kulusevski going to be pushed into the 10? Is Kudus going to be pushed into the 10? Yeah. Maddison, when he's fit, is pressing. Javi Simmons, when he's fit, is going to be pressing Maddison. So these are all good things.
Yep.
So you're asking me what's the first choice? I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing not to know, but everybody's got to be at that level.
Well, a lot of these players are versatile as well. Lee, Craig just mentioned Matisse Tell there. He had a good pre-season, in my opinion, probably one of our standout players throughout pre-season. What does that do for him with Savio coming in? Because sometimes it can be that players can sulk a little bit that someone else has come in, but he has to, give him competition and fight for that place.
Yeah, I mean, I think initially the hard thing with the picture that Craig painted is we've got these amazing players, but the availability, as we know, is like half that, a third of that at any given time. So I think it's very at least possible that Savio will play on the right and Tell may well start on the left. I was really impressed with Tell end of last season and what I saw of him in pre-season. And there's so much about him to like, not least because he has a go, frankly, to use the oldest footballing parlance. But he's also like insanely frustrating, right? The amount of times he gets to the 6-yard box and there's a player wide open and he could just square it and he tries to shoot some crazy angle. And I suppose, the question is like, if he can just mix that up a little bit, because he's got talent, and what I love about him is just his attitude, just to keep going forward. Like the curse of the sideways and backwards sort of, we've had so much of that, particularly under Frank. Tell is one of the few players we've had who, he's pretty much got one thought in his mind. The question is, has he got the maturity to not think, I've got to try and beat the fifth man? He's kind of like the guy you play with in the playground at school where you're like, just pass, So, but I hope he stays. I saw some rumor that he's been linked with Turkey, but I can't see us selling him or even loaning him.
I saw a weird stat earlier that because a lot of people in the crowd at Brentford at the weekend were shouting to Matisse Tell to take the player on, and he actually it was more take-ons than any player in the Premier League in match week 1, which I found very surprising. Lee, always great to talk to you. Thank you so much. And you're on the podcast after the Newcastle game, so hopefully we're all smiling Saturday evening.
Yep, and good luck to tomorrow. Have a good one.
Cheers, Lee. Thank you.
Yeah, bye.
Right, we're now going to go all the way to Canada to speak to John. John, how are you?
Right side of the grass, and I'm doing okay.
Hi, John.
Hello, bro.
John.
Nice to see you.
How are you feeling at the moment, being a Spurs fan? Are you optimistic about this season?
I still am, yes. I'm still optimistic. I've drawn a line under Saturday and said, that's it. We had a bad day. It was a pretty poor performance and not to get upset over it. And I think things will improve. I think we got the guy to lead us to improve. Under Thomas Frank, I think we had no hope in anybody improving. So I've got every hope that we're going to beat Charlton well, and then take on Newcastle and take 3 points off of them. Charlton worries me a little bit. I watched a package from the Championship and the Charlton game. I think it was against Derby, and they look very useful. So they're not going to be no pushovers. I think they're up the top there. So they're a good side, and I hope he puts a strong team out tomorrow, and will do us proud.
Yeah,
John, how important is it that we really go for it and progress in the domestic cups this year? Because of course we haven't got European football.
Well, you answered your own question there, Craig. We haven't got European football, therefore we need to shine in a domestic game, and we need to win a trophy. No question about that. What's Chris talking about?
I had no idea.
Oh, Craig's not doing very well tonight, is he?
He's doing very well. You leave him alone. He's all right.
John, when you watched Dustin's analysis of the Brentford game,
brilliant.
Does it? You could imagine at Hotspur Way, all of Roberto De Zerbi, his backroom staff, the analysis team. You can imagine them doing this a lot more in depth. With the squad.
Well, first of all, I apologise to Dustin because I didn't know his name. I did put a comment up that it was brilliant.
Yeah,
and I think I hope Mr. De Zerbi will take note of what our friend in Singapore said.
Yeah,
and showed. He certainly took the whole problems we had apart. And let's hope that they take them to heart and turn it around, certainly against Charlton and against Newcastle. And we will only see when that happens.
The point I was going to make, and Craig, let's bring you in here. You can't imagine that we're going to see that very often, that type of performance under Roberto De Zerbi, because he is such a fiery character, very well respected within the dressing room with every single player that has ever played under him. You can't imagine that level of performance will be a regular thing.
No, you'd hope not. I mean, he did seem as bewildered as all of us, didn't he, about why it happened? And it intrigued me, that he said we weren't ready. He knew we wasn't ready after the last sort of friendly. I just don't understand that. You've had. I'm not blaming De Zerbi completely for this, because I genuinely think the pre-season tour didn't help us as good as it was for the people in those countries. I think it's going to take it out of players. Of course, Mickey van der Ven flew all those miles and didn't play a minute, for example. So I am amazed, because Brentford were ready.
Yep.
I'm not having this World Cup crap. Brentford were ready. Brentford were at it. So why weren't we? That's what I would question. Why weren't the players ready?
I'd like to have been the fly on the wall in Hotspur Way on Monday morning when they all turned up. I wonder what De Zerbi had to say to them. It would be interesting to find out.
What would you have said to them?
You let us down, guys. You let us down. And you've got to turn it around. You've got to take that to heart and get out there and do better. A lot better.
Very polite, John. What would you have said, Craig?
It's probably, it's family show. Can't really say what I'd have said.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say that. Yeah. John, who are you excited about? This transfer window. I know we're talking a lot about the transfer window today. There's a week left. What do you hope that we would do in the final week? And what have you made of the transfers? Have you been happy with the transfers that we've made?
Generally, I'm happy with those who've come in. I think those that went out, I was sad to see Jed Spence go. But nonetheless, I think he never really gelled, did he? He came in as a club signing. He wasn't wanted. He sat around, got frustrated, and then he's made it, then he hasn't. So for him to find a new life for himself, I understand that. Romero, I think, painted himself into such a poor corner that he was no coming back. He was in that situation where he had to go. The others that have gone out so far, probably wise. There are a number I think we're going to need to let go. Mickey Moore, I think we need to keep him in as much that let's find him somewhere to go. I thought he was going to Germany, and that seems to have fallen through. I don't know why.
I think it's still on the cards.
Okay. Just go and play in another culture, learn another language, and go meet yourself a German girl or something. That's probably what he needs to do. And so we need to keep him, but I don't think he's ready yet. A young captain on Saturday. I think he's a great wing half. He's a great servant of the club, and I don't think we need to be too hard at him for the performance. Okay, he didn't have a good game. He did look once or twice like a rabbit in the headlights. I hate that cliche, but you know what I mean. And we need to make sure we keep him in confidence, because we've kicked the confidence out of him before, and he's come back. Kinksky, we need to make sure he keeps his confidence, because that lad, came back from a very disappointing time. The others that have gone out, I think, were wise departures. I'd like to see us unload a few others. Bentancur, I'm not so sure. He's 32? I'm not sure how old he is.
Don't think he's that old. I don't think he's that old.
How old do you think Craig is?
I wouldn't guess. How old do you think I have to ask? So, there is a number of players there that are never going to play this year unless we.
He's 29, John Benton.
You're 29. Yeah. Or it's been a joke about how old's this girl. She's around about 21, but we don't know how many times around. Where's the gooner? She'll kill me.
John, how's the weather in Canada, by the way?
We're at a fairly pleasant summer. We had one day of rain, one day of sunshine. My tomatoes are doing okay, and so is my zucchini. But
the what, Keeney?
You would call them green things, courgettes,
zucchini.
Yeah. Zucchini.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant mankini. I thought surely not.
There you've been to Australia.
John, lastly, score prediction for the Charlton game. Score prediction for the Newcastle game.
Well, I think if we don't come out 3-0 against Charlton, we are in trouble. We've got to stick it to them. Against Newcastle, 2-0. I'll be very pleased.
Yep. Same here. John, great to talk to you again.
And you too, guys. Thank you for all you do for me. I'm great. I'm always grateful.
Thank you.
Thanks,
I'll speak to you soon. Cheers.
Bye.
Right. We're now going to speak to Vishwa. I think you're going to need to take this one, Craig, because I don't think that he can hear me.
Hello,
can
Chris.
you hear me?
Hello, Craig. How you guys are doing? Can you hear me?
You can hear me okay? No.
Hi, Craig. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear Chris?
But, I can hear you, Craig, but I cannot hear Chris. I don't know. Today I can't hear Chris, but I can hear you, Craig.
It's probably best you can't hear him because he's just annoying a lot of the time. So you can speak to me.
Good to see
Chris,
you
have you
again.
got? Have you?
He doesn't need to agree with that. He could challenge that. He could challenge that, couldn't he?
He can't hear you, so you say what you want.
No. No.
Sorry, Vish, it was very, very, very rude. Chris was just saying you didn't have to agree with me with what I said. So, Vish, what are your thoughts on the what are your thoughts on the transfer window so far?
Guys, transfer window, it's the best Tottenham's transfer window ever in the history. I don't know if we could see that without that relegation season last season. So it's our best transfer season according to the spending or the players we brought in. But I want to talk about Saturday's game. One thing is that the first goal, the Sangare's assist. So he just went between the Spurs players and no one noticed. And then second goal, Kinski saved and no one cleared it. The Brentford player scored, and the same happened for the third goal. So I don't know. It's not about the players' quality or big players or the gameplay. Our players are just not in the game. I never understand that. This was a whole Thomas Frank's season till February. That's what I remembered on Saturday. That's worrying for me. I'm not thinking about to win the league or 3 points against Newcastle. I want to see that energy, the sharpness, in the team. We all have different professions, right? When we go to offices or whatever, you be in the job, right? You see an invoice or you see a program, you are in that, right? It's like you pay 10,000 instead of 400, you know just doing an error because you are not just present there. That's so worrying for me. So we conceded 3 goals because we are not sharp enough. I don't know how that thing can turn out. It's actually very worrying for me. Of course, Richarlison is bad. Maybe he knows that Marmoush gonna replace him. He knows that. So if you know a player is coming to replace you, you need to perform very well. You score 2 goals and you show your manager, I am the guy. If
Yeah.
Savinho is coming, the Miku move should be, he should know, I can do this. Who is Savinho? Savinho or Savinho, who is that? I can score a goal. And he got a couple of chances. So we keep all the players aside, but what about them? How we considered 3 goals in that way, I don't understand. What do you think about that?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I haven't got the answers to that one. It was a weird game, wasn't it? I expected so much more. I think we all did expect so much more, and it's difficult to put your finger on what it was. Dustin highlighted a lot of things there: gaps in the midfield, no pressing. And that's what confused the hell out of me. And that's what I said earlier. De Zerbi's teams press. It's relentless. It's high up the pitch. It's like a Pochettino team. And we didn't see any of that. So did he have the players that were able to do that? I would argue you have got, you had Mikey Moore, you had Matisse Tell, you had Richarlison, even though he's quite slow, he does press. We didn't see any of it. So things have got to turn around pretty quick, haven't they? But how do you see this, let's skip Charlton for now. This game against Newcastle on Saturday at the Spurs Stadium, it's not a must win because they're not all must wins at this stage, but we've got to start off fast, Vish, haven't we, at home, because it's been such a poison chalice sort of thing for a while now. How important is it that we get off to a fast start at home?
Guys, I think more than the points, I believe we play to win the league at least till December. We are not playing. We are playing to win the league. That's what our mindset should be. Like Cristiano said in an interview 5 years ago when he came back for United, you always should aim for the first. We are not here to fill the 20 teams, but at least I want to see that the sharpness, the alertness. I don't know. It's not De Zerbi's responsibility to tell Robertson or Senesi. Maybe they can play 1-2. You cover him. When Kinski saved, cover the ball, shield the ball. Otherwise, they're gonna score the rebound goal. I don't know. It's whose responsibility. It's a kind of thing happened last year. If you remember against Fulham's game, when Vicario tried to clear the ball, he made an error, and then our defenders was just watching. No one is like, go to the post, save the ball. No communication. So I want to see that alertness, the sharpness, the chemistry. So once if we are improving in these aspects, automatically we will eventually win. Even we lose after playing very well to this week, maybe we have a draw game, but eventually in 3-4 months we will pick it up, and then we will do the things, amazing things. The points, maybe we can win the 3 points, but a scrappy 3 points that doesn't take us anywhere, right? So I want to see these things first. I don't know, because these 3 goals, I was like, guys, this is a new season, new team, and all of you are new. How can we concede goals like that very cheaply? That's what my worry. So against Newcastle, I want to see very tight, active, enjoy the game. I feel like they all need a couple of espresso, bro, before the game. They look so sleepy. And Michael Oliver, again, every 50-50 chance went to, Brentford. Even there is a costly foul near the edge of the box on Solanke. He didn't care. And people are blaming Madison. But the shoulder pull was very heavy for him, I think. It's just Madison. You see, the opponents see Madison and they're gonna injure him. So I'm so sorry for him. If it's a leg injury again, I can blame him. But when an opponent clearly injured him intentionally, he can't do anything. Yeah.
Yeah. Who would you play, Vish, in the number 10 when everybody's fully fit?
Maybe Mathis-Tel.
In the number 10?
Yeah, I mean, maybe better because he got those movements and a little skill for he's very flexible player, I guess. I mean, who can play number 10? Gallagher? I don't think so. Yeah. And regarding Savio, I want to mention one thing to all the fan base, because the people saying Savio has 2 goals in 53 games for 2 years, but his game time is actually only 27 games in these 2 years. He played only 27,000 minutes. If you see per capita game and game time, he played only 27 games and he delivered 13 assists and 2 goals. So Savio actually had 15 goal contributions in 27 games as per minutes. But people are saying 2 goals for 53 matches in 2 years. It's overpay. It's all a bull crap. I mean, people, please observe the stats. Go to websites. You can see how many minutes Savio played, how many goal contributions he had, and then we talk about him. When Spurs didn't do any business, it's a problem. When Spurs does a good business, it's also a problem. So, and regarding Savio, it's a very negative thing. I'm looking at the people. 13 assists is a very great number in the 27 matches he played. Again, as per the minutes he played, if you see his stats, it's a very good number. 13 assists. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and I hope Marmoush comes and Richarlison. If he stayed, if you get 20 minutes, if Marmoush starts the game, go and prove that I'm the guy, not the. You need to be competitive, right? That's the thing. Yeah.
Absolutely. Vishwa, thanks so much for joining us. We'll have to have you on again soon. Hopefully you'll be able to hear Chris next time.
Thank you guys. And Chris, see you again. Thank you, Craig, and thanks all of you. Yeah.
Bye-bye. See you later.
See you later.
Right. Thank you, Craig. Right. We're now going to go to Shane. Shane, how are you? Sorry for keeping you waiting for so long, but there's been a lot of people on the fan show today, and we've really enjoyed talking to every one of them. Shane, what do you want to say?
I want to be positive in about 30 seconds, but before that, I just want to ask a question to both of you. Going on the overseas trip for pre-season, what's more important in your opinions, both of you? 3 points or engaging with other countries around the world?
Oh, 3 points, I think, but the marketing department would say otherwise.
Yeah, I think the football club have their own plans, and I also think it's very, very important, more important actually, for the manager to have the right preparation for, going into the brand new season. But yeah, as Craig said there, from a commercial point of view, these trips are booked months in advance. And it's funny, I did actually ask the club at the time and said, if Spurs were relegated, are we still going to New Zealand and Australia? And they had all the deals in place, so we would have still gone on that trip had we have been a championship club. Obviously, it's great that didn't happen. But from a commercial point of view, these trips are extremely important to the football club. And what I would say as well, And I mentioned this earlier about talking to so many people, so many countries, and the full respect I have for people. These people in Australia, they're getting up at like 2, 3, 4 a.m. and then going to work after. So I would never ever take anything away from them. How we support our football club is all different all around the world, and full respect to every single person that does it. But from a commercial point of view, it's very important for them.
I totally agree with what you say. I think both yourself and everybody else that's been on tonight, the disappointment of the performance on Saturday was the worst thing.
Yeah.
But I don't understand when our manager, who's a very positive guy, said we weren't ready. I just can't get my head around that one, because I just don't understand where he's coming from.
Yeah, I that's what I said, Shane. It baffles me why we weren't ready. It baffles me that we weren't ready. I mean, kudos to him for coming out and telling the truth, but I'm just baffled that we weren't ready. Well, I don't know what to say on that.
Let's move forward. We're ready for tomorrow night. That's the next thing. And the good thing about football is there's another game just around the corner. So let's get that out of our system. But what I did really want to say was what an absolutely fantastic transfer window. Absolutely fantastic. The owners have done what they said, which is a year ago, but it took a little while to come through. The manager's being backed, and I think if he had everybody on the pitch playing to the system the way he wants to play, I think we'll be quite formidable this year. But how long that will take to get to that point, there might be a few bumps in the road. But you just got to stick it out. It was a very poor performance Saturday. We started off slow. We defended very deep. So when we were trying to get the ball up to Richarlison, he wasn't at the half, 2/3 of our own half. So when you're defending, you're inviting pressure on yourself, as you all know. So that's fundamentals of football. I don't understand why the players were like that, really.
Shane, do you think Richarlison will still be a Spurs player at the end of this window in 7 days?
I was thinking about that earlier when you were all talking about that. And the trouble is, if you get an injury or two, you're going to need him. So I think he will probably move on, but we don't want to be too exposed on what their options are. Now, on Sky Sports this week, they've had Arsenal, Liverpool, different teams, the so-called Man Cities, and they've laid out the positions of all the players that they've got available in their squad. And certainly Man City have got 2, and Arsenal have got 2 or 3 really high-quality players for each position. Now, we're starting to get there with the players we're getting this transfer window. But I don't know how in-depth our squad is. Not so much the players coming in, but the players we're losing. I haven't kept up with it. So if you're looking at we would need 2 or 3 strikers, you're going to need the 3 strikers we've currently got in the books.
Yeah, it's interesting. The show that Gareth and I recorded yesterday, Craig, and I come to you on this. Gareth basically said it's like Richarlison and Solanke is like one player, because when one is available, it normally means the other one isn't. And when you look at game time and you look at injury records, etc., it only ever seems like you only have one of them available, which is really frustrating for us. But De Zerbi, Ange, Thomas Frank, so many managers have spoken, in the last couple of seasons about this injury record. De Zerbi said recently that the medical department is going to be very, very important for Tottenham this season. And it is, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. And I think what De Zerbi did for last Saturday actually was protect some of the players that weren't ready or weren't fully fit. Now, I can't get my head around it, because they're pristine athletes that can play football. But Poro, I mean, he's been at the World Cup. Now, I don't know how fit he is or unfit he is, but I mean, he should be absolutely buzzing after winning the World Cup. So why wouldn't you have him play in the first game? But they obviously know the physique and the fitness and everything, the sports science behind it all.
Yeah, they have to be at a certain level.
They do, yeah. But I just wanted to be positive and say I think we're very close to replacing Son and Kane with the two Man City players. We haven't replaced them. And the biggest one that we replaced, that we spoke about a few months ago, was Dembele. I think it was Dembele. They used to, 4 or 5 years ago, used to conduct the midfield. And now with Tonali from Newcastle, I think we've got somebody that can dictate the pace of the game.
Yeah,
and
Musa Dembele, not Tonguyon Dembele, you mean, yeah.
Yeah, that one, sorry.
There's a huge difference there.
Yeah, the Rolls Royce in midfield. Yeah, that one.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
So I think that's good, and you need someone to conduct and set the pace of the game, and I think we'll do that. I was quite disappointed in how he played on Saturday, and I don't know why. I can't work out that either.
Yeah, I thought that was a terrible debut. Actually, we spoke about this at length on the podcast. I didn't want to be too negative on the podcast, although it was a 3-0 defeat. And it's funny because when I walked away from that stadium on Saturday, you normally hear a lot of people moaning and whinging. And a lot of people, including myself, were quite silent. I think a lot of us were quite surprised, shocked, and there was obviously disappointment. But when you pay £100 million for someone like Tonali, and these other transfers that we've got in that we've all been excited about, and then that was their first competitive game for Spurs, I think sometimes you just need to sweep it under the carpet in some respects and say, look, the next game we start again. And this week we hope to see them performing at the level that we know that they can, because De Zerbi has said that in the last couple of days, the post-match presser after Brentford, the pre-match presser, for the Charlton game. He knows these players are capable of a lot more. So that is the frustrating thing. But I don't think some of us are worried about, these individuals, because we know what they can do. They're capable of so much more. Shane, lastly, and I've got to hurry you because we've got 3 guests left. We've got to finish very, very soon, and we'll get you on next time and speak at length. But lastly, score predictions for the 2 games we've got coming up this week against Charlton and Newcastle.
2-1 tomorrow night. And I'm going to go 1-0 the weekend, Saturday.
2 wins, yeah?
Yeah.
Brilliant. Shane, thank you for your positivity, and we'll speak to you a lot longer next time, I promise.
Take care of yourselves both. See ya.
Cheers. Thank you.
Cheers.
Right, we have now got, I can't remember the order that we were going to go in. We've now got Steve, I think. Steve from the Czech Republic. Steve, how are you?
Hi, Chris. Yeah, all right. Yeah. Right, Craig.
Hello, Steve. You all right?
Long time no see or speak together, yeah?
You all right?
Yes. So, what are we doing?
Well, Steve, what do you want to say? What do you want to say?
Talking about football, Steve.
Yeah, I've got loads to say as usual. Most of
Go on, go for it.
After my score prediction and my famous dream last week, I had to say I had a dream, and that's what it was. It just shows your dreams are absolutely load of bollocks. Anyway, I had a question for. I said 2-1, didn't I? I had a question for Dustin before the game, because he was making a good point, but it made me think, which is not many people make me think. He said that the reason that he thought that De Zerbi or the club decided to get rid of Jed Spence or send him on was because he was not going to be playing the ball out from the back. Do you remember? He was talking about tactics. He will pass the ball out for the back, but he didn't want someone to try and dribble the ball or run the ball out from the back.
The thing is, Steve, a few people have come on this evening and said about, we shouldn't have let Jed Spence go. He wanted to leave. He wanted to leave the football club.
I haven't actually got to the point I was going to make, which is, so he made that point, which was, and we know that Spence wanted to go, which was fair enough, and good luck to him. But on the other hand, we signed Van Hecker, who has a very similar tendency that Romero had, going on these runs, taking the ball out from the back, although he's a good passer of the ball, the same as Romero, taking the ball out from the back. And of course, Mickey van der Ven, in the beginning when he first started playing for us, was a bloody absolute legend, the way he was taking the ball from the back.
Yeah. So
do you think that then that De Zerbi's going to sort of put a stop on that? Because very early on in the game at the weekend, Van Hecker did go on one of his runs to the halfway line and lost possession, with the ball. He wasn't passing up the field. He was carrying the ball. And according to, and I totally admire the guy, Dustin, his tactics board and everything's fantastic. But he was just making the point that that's one of the reasons we didn't keep Spence, because he believes that De Zerbi doesn't want us, bringing the ball out from the back, but playing the ball out from the back. But we have two central defenders who are very good at doing that. So is that not going to happen anymore? Are we going to save the hamstrings of Mickey van der Ven so he doesn't go on these bursting runs from the back and keep possession, because it's a possession-based type of play, isn't it, really?
I'd personally just like to see Mickey.
You look like I've been speaking Chinese for the last 2 minutes.
No, I was just thinking about what you said about Mickey van der Ven. I'd just love to have seen him in pre-season, and of course he hasn't had a pre-season at all yet. So I do wonder and question where how much he's going to play over the next couple of weeks. They're going to have to ease him back in, you think? And it's difficult. The thing is, Roberto De Zerbi, I feel sorry for him in a way, because he would have wanted to go into that first game with his strongest 11, which he can't have done.
Absolutely. Yep.
With his strongest front line, which he couldn't have done because we haven't got Savinho and Marmoush over the line. So he's kind of a bit hamstrung, if you pardon the expression, because of the situation. So although the bench looked reasonably strong on Saturday, the first 11 looked pretty, certainly the front line was like, oh, you'd look at that and think, crikey. I think Chris asked me, if you did the last game of last season, that the first game of the next season, we're going to be going in with Mikey Moore, Richarlison and Matisse Tell up front. What would you have said?
Yeah, this is why I've been arguing with a lot of mates as well, Spurs fans. There's been a lot of knee-jerk reaction, not only from the press, but from Spurs fans, because we lost that game. But if you, like you said, you look at the team we had to put out, and Brentford have played together a lot. They're a well-drilled side. They finished 7th last season? I think they've only brought in the new guy from the midfield whose name escapes me, who sets up one of the goals. He was really probably player of the match, player of the game. They're a very good side at home, Brentford. So it was a difficult fixture anyway. And I'm not one of these people that's, we've spent all this money. And half the bloody players aren't even on the pitch yet. Give it time. Even the Gooner I was talking to in Prague, who'd been laughing his head off every time Brentford scored, obviously, said, "Oh, you spent all that money and you haven't improved. You're still crap." I said, "Listen, give us a few games, half a dozen games, for them to gel." And that's what you've been saying, obviously, on most of the programme. That's what it's all about. I mean, look at United last season. Terrible beginning, didn't they? A terrible start, and then they finished where they finished at the top end of the table. So I'm not one of these fans who's like worried. I just like to see Marmoush get over the line, because you keep hearing two different stories there. It's more or less done. They don't want him to leave now. So if we get Marmoush, I think it's an excellent transfer window. Absolutely over the moon with all the signings, and I'm looking forward to the season. Really looking forward to it.
Yeah.
But,
Steve, lastly, where we're going to finish?
Yeah, the Gooner asked me that as well, and I had a bet with him actually. Mine had had a few drinks. I said 4th. What I meant to say was top 6, but he was really niggling me, so I said 4th.
How much was the bet?
Tomorrow's game. How much was the bet?
Yeah,
just a beer. Just a beer, actually.
You got to wait. You got to wait until May to either pay the bet out or receive the beer.
I'd cash out now, Steve, if I was you.
Yeah, I think so.
Half a beer, cash out.
Listen. Yeah, cash out. Yeah, I'll get him his beer. Yeah. I think it's going to be 0-0 tomorrow. If we have Richie up front again tomorrow, I'm sorry, it's going to penalties. It's going to be a nervy game.
Who's missing for Spurs?
Oh, come on.
It's not.
He can't be there. He can't be there, guys. He's not there. And I've obviously watched the Newcastle game against Liverpool. I'm sorry, but We're not winning on Saturday.
Look at Craig now. Look, Craig has I've learned over the last few years, Craig has a battery life of 2 hours, and we're over 2 hours now. So he's starting to fall asleep in the chair.
Yeah, it's probably just me with my monotone voice.
No.
There's a bit of that as well.
No, in all fairness, can I just say I agree with what Chris said earlier, that I was expecting the show. This is not a dig at you or anybody, Steve.
Yeah,
I was expecting the show to be a bit more upbeat and everything.
Upbeat,
but you know, everybody seems to feel the same here.
Yeah.
I think it's that start, isn't it? It's that start that's done it with everyone, isn't it?
No, but it's all right. I think we'll sell Richie. We'll sell Bergwall and Sarr. Get some money in. Kudus will come back. Marmoush will join the band, and Kudus will come back. What a forward line that's going to be if we get those three up front, and the midfield gel with what we've got. And my Czech goalkeeper, he's going to improve.
Craig, should we have a bet? Should we have a bet? A beer?
What's that? What's the
I
bet?
don't know. What's the bet? What do you want it to be?
I'll have to have a think. I'll let you know. Yeah.
Let us know how that one goes, Steve. Right.
I will do. Yeah, don't worry.
Steve,
nice
great to talk to you.
Guys. Yeah. Come on.
Cheers, Steve.
We'll speak to you a lot longer next time. Cheers.
Yeah, we win on penalties next time. Tomorrow. It'll be nervy, but we will win the penalty shootout.
Oh no, the podcast has got to be on time. We need to go straight after the final whistle. We don't want any penalties tomorrow. No.
Okay,
thanks, Steve.
right.
Cheers,
Steve.
Right, we're now going to go to Charlie. I'm sure Charlie has a little bit of enthusiasm and positivity. Charlie, how are you?
I'm very good, thanks, Chris. You said I'm going to have a lot of positivity. I don't know if you watched my match reaction after the Brentford game.
I did, but you've had a few days. You've had a few days to calm down.
A few days to calm down, and I'm excited for the Newcastle game. I'm excited for the Charlton game tomorrow. It was really poor against Brentford. It was really, really poor. I was not impressed. The amount of messages I got after that game against Brentford, I like to switch my phone off during games. I like to switch it off. I don't like to see any messages. I like to just watch the game.
Yep.
I've turned my phone on after the game. It's just beeping. It's just beeping at me. I can't even unlock it because it's just beeping every 2 seconds. I finally get in. I go on Snapchat. 10 messages.
Are these non-Spurs fans?
People messaging me. Oh, no Spurs fans. No Spurs fans. Arsenal fans, Liverpool fans.
Yeah.
I've got people I haven't spoke to.
Get rid of them.
About a year, and they're just texting me. They're laughing emojis. It's embarrassing.
Block them.
I should be the one laughing. We spent all this money, and yet I'm the one getting these messages and being laughed at. It's a joke. It's an absolute joke. And the performance was completely ridiculous. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I could not believe what I was seeing. I was just sitting at the TV with my mouth wide open, thinking, what is going on? But look, I've had a few days. Look, let's just forget about it. Let's just forget about it. Let's just forget. It was the first game. We weren't ready, and I've got to say something. Look, big respect to all the Australian fans and all the people on the other side of the world who watch Tottenham. Big respect to you guys. But I'm sorry, we should not be going out to Australia and all these other countries halfway across the world to play these games in pre-season, because it's not good for us. It really, really isn't. We should be going to Europe, maybe doing a camp in Germany or Spain. I'd much rather that.
We've done it for a long time though, Charlie, and some of these seasons it hasn't been an issue.
I know it hasn't, but I mean, thinking Angie's first season, we went out to Australia, didn't we? And we ended up coming 5th, and I'd say we were quite good that year. Then in Angie's second season, we went out to, it was somewhere in Asia. I remember that. And we came 17th, but we won the Europa League. Then we went to Korea, I believe, where Sonny played his last minutes for Tottenham.
Yeah.
And then this year we've gone out back to Oceania, And yeah, I'm just fed up of it, and I'd like to see us go to a country a lot closer to us, because I think it'd be a lot better for the players. But huge respect to all the fans who get up early for games. I'm quite lucky. I live quite close to the stadium, so I can very easily get to the games, and I don't have to wake up at ridiculous o'clock to watch these games. So the Auckland game in pre-season, my alarm didn't wake me up. If I lived on the other side of the world and my alarm didn't wake me up for the game, I'd be very, very upset. But yeah, look, we've got to forget about that Brentford game. It was not good enough. It really wasn't. Forget about it. Let's just forget. It was really poor. I couldn't believe what I was watching. I think I was in shock. I was thinking, what's going on? What is going on? And then after the game, I just couldn't believe it. I just could not believe what I was seeing. But look, let's forget. I keep repeating myself. Forget. On to Charlton tomorrow. Tomorrow against Charlton, I would start a very strong team. I'd start Savinho, because I'm sorry, I'm going to say it. I said it in my match reaction. Moore is not good enough. He isn't good enough. And I did not like what I was seeing. He had 3 fantastic opportunities and he missed all of them. I would send him out to Cologne where he can get more minutes. He's not showing to me that he's the next Heung-min Son. He really isn't. And his performance, I hate to be negative, I really, really do, but that game was just terrible. And I see everyone slating off Conor Gallagher. I thought Gallagher done okay. I thought, he's pressing. We know, as Tottenham fans, he's not very creative. He isn't. But he can press. And that's what De Zerbi's asking him. And I want to say this. No matter what happens this season, let's stick with Roberto De Zerbi. Let's stick with him. And I think the board want to stick with him. I mean, Vinay and Lang, they wanted to stick with Thomas Frank. That guy, let's not talk about Thomas Frank. He put me through worse than what we saw on Saturday. Frank, let's not talk about Thomas Frank. I don't want to think about him ever again. He is the worst manager we've ever had. Him and Igor Tudor. And I heard you saying earlier about Roberto De Zerbi in his press conferences saying, we weren't ready. I think De Zerbi, he likes to talk nonsense in his press conference. He doesn't like to give too much away to the press.
I think he's very honest. I think he's very honest, Charlie.
He is honest, but he doesn't give too much away. In his first press conference, he said, well, I'm going to tell you a lie that he said. He said, I'm no better manager than Thomas Frank or Igor Tudor. He's a much better manager than Thomas Frank and Igor Tudor. They're 2 of the worst managers I've ever seen. I wish no club to have them again except Arsenal. I pray that Thomas Frank, the Arsenal fan, goes and joins Arsenal one day.
Well, Thomas Frank is joined the Match of the Day team. And I know Craig is a big fan of Match of the Day. Craig, will you be tuning in this year?
Do you know what?
Craig, watch the highlights on Sky now. I wouldn't want to watch him. He's just the most boring man ever.
Do you know what? I've said it on here before. I don't know if that's what Chris is getting at, but I love Match of the Day, but I couldn't watch it last season because we were never winning on it. So, it records every week on Sky and just delete it. But having Thomas Frank on it as a pundit, I'm not sure how that's going to go with some people. Obviously, you weren't a fan, Charlie.
No, I wasn't. I mean, he's the worst manager ever had. And honestly, if I met him, I wouldn't be rude. I'd go up to him and I'd say, I'd press record before I see him. I'd go up to him with my phone and I'd be like, Thomas, you're the worst manager you've ever had. You nearly sent us down. And then I just walk away. I wouldn't want to waste my time being around him. I don't like the bloke. I do not like him at all. I'm not trying to be rude or anything. Me and Thomas Frank, we got a serious problem. He nearly sent us down. Igor Tudor, I felt bad for that guy. He walked into a disaster. And then De Zerbi, if I saw him, I'd be hugging him. I'd say, you saved us. Whatever happens, I'm going to stick by you. And that's true. Unless we get relegated, which I tell you what, if we play like we did on Saturday ever again, there's a good chance it's going to happen. I'm joking. But unless we get relegated, if we come 17th again, I would keep him. I would trust this man. I would trust this man with everything because I'm fed up of going through manager after manager after manager. Trust this man. We've backed him. I remember we bought Solanke. My granddad told me, Charlie, I don't understand the point in signing Solanke if we're just going to sack him. And he was right. Because Solanke was the perfect striker for Ange. And Chris, I want to say I came on the Spurs Chat podcast a few weeks ago And I said something very foolish, very, very foolish. I said I'd sell Solanke and I'd keep Richarlison because Richarlison scores goals. Chris, can I take back my comments? Because Richarlison, he might be the worst striker I have ever seen play for Tottenham. I watched that Brentford game. That's the worst performance I've ever seen a striker play.
Has it only taken you a short while to realise that?
Well, he did score goals for us last season. And, you know, when I thought last year he done all right for us. But look, yeah, that game against Brentford, I didn't give him a rating because he didn't warrant a rating.
Charlie,
he didn't deserve a rating.
Do you know, last season you started doing the player ratings on the channel. So you put, you send me the clips and we put them out with the player ratings from each game. And you stopped doing them because you were quite down about it. I think perhaps we should change your role on the channel where you do a video. Instead of doing the player ratings, perhaps you should do from a game, choosing 5 positive things to talk about and 5 perhaps, I don't know whether the word negative is...
I don't want to be negative. I hate being negative, Chris. It's the worst thing in the world being negative. I was so upset after that game. I still am. I still can't believe what I saw. I've got a Brentford fan laughing at me.
Hold on.
Tonali for 100 million.
Hold on. Forget them. Get rid of these people off your phone. Block them if you need to. Just get rid of them. You need positive people around you. So 5 positive things and 5 things to improve on. Okay, that's what we could do. So let's give you a live audition right now. So you're recording the video right now. We've got to be under 3 minutes. So talking about the Brentford game, start with 5 positive things, 5 improvements. Go.
I don't think I can name 5 positives. Okay, here's
Come on,
a positive.
you can.
I've got a positive. The last time we lost away from home on the first game of the season, we ended up finishing very high in the table. I thought Gallagher, a lot of people slating him off. His pressing, it was good. I thought he is a good presser. I thought in the second half, Tonali looked better. I think next to Bentancur and Fernandes, more stability in that midfield. It was a bit more controlled. Next to Bergvall, here's something to improve on. Lucas Bergvall, he needs to improve. He wasn't good enough at all. I think another improvement. Kinski needs to not be making mistakes. I think he was really good at the back end of last season. And I think he made a big mistake in that game. He parried it right back to them. He needs to punch it away. I thought positive. Thiago missed a penalty. That's the first penalty he's missed for Brentford, and it was against this. There it is, this beautiful badge. I thought here's a big positive. I've got a big positive. That is not the finished article. The finished article would include Savio. He wants to be called Savio. Savio and Mamouche. That's my audition, Chris. I know there's one more person waiting, and I want to apologise to them because we're going on and on and on, and I am. My granddad tells me I waffle too much. But can we just talk about Savinho and Mamouche quickly? Because I don't think you understand, Chris, how glad I am these players are coming to my football club. These 2 players, they're fantastic. I like to watch all the games in the Premier League, and I watched every game I can this weekend. Savinho, his statistics, they're not the best. Right, they're not the worst either, though. I've seen everyone saying 2 Premier League goals in 2 years. He's scored goals in cup games. He's got a fair few assists. And I look at Florian Wirtz at the start of last season, and everyone was clowning him. They were laughing at him. And I was like, right, I'm going to laugh at him because I enjoy laughing at Liverpool fans the same way they enjoy mocking me. I watched him. I couldn't clown him because he is a top player, and he's shown that since. but I think he just wasn't getting the goal contributions. Savinho, I think he's going to get the goal contributions at Tottenham, and I'm very excited about Savinho. I'm like one of the few people who are more excited about Savinho than Mamouche. I am very excited for Mamouche, but I think I can't stress how excited I am for Savinho. I think he is genuinely, Savio, he's one of the best wingers. It's just been really difficult for him to break into that Man City team. And, you know, I don't think many players in the world can break into that Man City team. I mean, maybe right now because, you know, they're in a bit of a disaster. But the rebuilds of Menzo Maresca and stuff. But the last few years under Pep, it's very difficult for a player to break into that squad. And Mamouche, he proved it at Frankfurt. The fact that he is the backup to Haaland actually shows how good he is. That shows how good he is. And I saw him play at Frankfurt. He was superb. And I reckon if they had him in that Europa League quarter-final, I reckon we would have lost. So, yeah. I can't wait for these signings. They're going to change us. One final positive. Brentford game, forget it. Tottenham are going to improve. We're going to improve. I heard Steve say we're not going to win against Newcastle. Let's be positive. Let's forget about that negativity and that shambolic result. I don't want to think about. I said in my match reaction, I do not want to think about Tottenham for the rest of this week. And then I realised we're playing Charlton in midweek, so I've got no choice. And then Mamouche got the here we go the next day, so they were back in my mind. But I thought Newcastle looked really good against Liverpool, and it's going to be a tough game. But we can do it.
They did.
We've got the home support. Yep. Our home form has not been good enough. It's going to change. It's got to change. And I do believe we'll still have a good season. We've got to forget about that game. We have to. And we have to pray that doesn't happen again. And it was negative, and I was negative. And I don't like being negative, but sometimes you've got to be negative because when you're watching that, you're thinking, I'd rather watch paint dry than this. But we're going to improve.
I never thought I'd hear that from a Tottenham fan after one Premier League game of the season. We've got to pray.
Well, Chris, I when I say these messages, you know, I had to block a fair few of them. I've got an Arsenal fan sending me voice notes. I'm thinking, what's going on?
No, I wouldn't allow it, Charlie. It wouldn't get to my phone.
Yeah, block it.
I've got a West Ham fan saying you're going to be joining us next season because they ain't coming back up, and I think he knows it. But yeah, I've got an Arsenal fan saying you're going to be back in a relegation battle. I can't. I saw a TikTok, Spurs, please, not another relegation battle. Genuinely, I can't do it. There's another relegation battle. I just can't. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to have to support them and get behind them. But no matter what, I'll back Roberto De Zerbi. And Chris, I'm going to make a promise to you, and Craig, you heard it as well. I will not turn on Roberto De Zerbi, no matter what. Until his contract is up, I'm not going to turn him. Unless we get relegated, which is not going to happen.
Jesus.
That's you know, that's the worst case scenario, and that's not going to happen. But that is the worst case.
I expected such a positive show tonight. What's happened?
How can you positive after what we saw on Saturday? You said
how can I be positive? How can I be positive? Right.
Silence.
We've signed 7 players. We've got a manager in.
The signings, honestly, 9 out of 10 transfer window, fantastic. Make it 10 out of 10. Sell Richarlison.
Yep. So we've got a manager that we know that will play very attractive football, the Tottenham way. We've got a manager that, quite frankly, if he didn't come in at the end of last season, we would have been relegated. There's no question or doubt about that. You've just sat there slagging off Thomas Frank and Igor Tudor. It looked like we were never going to get another point in the Premier League. Roberto De Zerbi turned that around. I am very positive about this season. I have high hopes for this season, and I think that when it gels, it will be really good, and we will be sitting here extremely happy, and we will be buzzing. So one game does not ruin a season. One game that you can learn a lot from this very early on, and perhaps in some way, I don't know, it might not sound like it at the moment, but it could be a real blessing that we actually lost in that manner and fashion on the opening day of the season, and it's come now. So De Zerbi can put those improvements in place. And I think that the team will look very different in a couple of weeks' time as well. So I have a lot of positivity. Perhaps sometime...
There's a lot of positivity. And everything you said, Chris, completely correct. But let's save that positivity for a few weeks because I want to see this team gel.
Do you know what? Charlie? Do you know what? You have let those Arsenal fans, those West Ham fans and so on, you've let them get in your head.
They've got in my
I'm
head,
not doing
and
that.
I'm worried we're going to be joining them, and it's not going to happen. I've got that in the front of my mind. It's not going to happen because I can't take it again. But I want to say we've had a good window. It's going to be a good season. I'm sure of it. I've learnt a lot from last season and what I saw, and I'm never going to forget last season. I'm sure none of us are going to forget last season. If you just said at the start of last season we're going to have 17th again, I would have laughed at you, and I'd have said no. We got Thomas the Frank engine. It's going to be turned around, and we it was worse than the season before. We nearly got relegated last season. We were never in question of relegation under Ange. I'm never going to forget that. And that has scared the life out of this board because they could not have accepted us going down. And they will never let that happen again. And it can't happen again because I can't take it again. I can't. Nah, never again. Never again, Tottenham. That was too much. I don't know how fans of quote smaller clubs can take it because it completely destroyed me. I will never forget that. And I can never, ever rule that out from happening because I ruled it out at the start of last season. I had a friend tell me, Charlie, don't get too high. You came 17th. No, we got the Frank engine, Kudus, Xavi. I'm Mr. Positive like I want to be. We've got to be
Charlie,
a bit more.
honestly, you need to keep your distance from these people. So Will has just said here, it's been one game, lad. He also then says it's how you finish, not start.
No,
I completely agree.
And Chris, when we do a fan chat into the season, you can say, Charlie, remember how negative you were when you came on the podcast at the start of the season? And I'll say, yeah, I was, because that performance was so bad. And it was. But like I said, the finished piece is not here yet. Marmoush is still to come. Marmoush will score 15 goals for us. He's a top centre forward. I can be positive.
Listen, for the last couple of years, I've been trying to get Craig to smile more on this channel. And these last 2.5, 3 hours, they really haven't helped.
Well, it was a shocking start. It really, really was a shocking start. But I want to forget about it. I want to talk about it now. And when we beat Newcastle, if we get a draw against Newcastle, I'll be happy because it shows major improvement. Because Newcastle looked really, really good against Liverpool, and I was thinking, oh no, we're in trouble next week. But as long as we get a good result tomorrow, I think tomorrow we got to go strong. We need to. Tomorrow it's going to be a massive confidence booster. Big confidence. I'm glad we're not in Europe because we get this round 2 of the Carabao Cup. We can get a huge confidence boost. We can show West Ham. I'll be texting that West Ham fan. Look, that's how you beat Charlton. Because they couldn't do it, could they? We need to beat Charlton, get that boost, and then bang, we need to hit hit Newcastle hard. And I want to say something. Everyone worried about the Marmoush deal and those City images. Chris, I saw it from you actually. I was like, what's going on? Well, why is Marmoush in training? Then I put the pieces together. It's the Man City media team. They just need to put some pictures up. That's their job ultimately. City
He was a sub on. He was a sub unused, so the subs unused were training separately from the team that played early morning. So it all does make sense.
I didn't think of it like that. I thought they all got a rest day, but no, that's a very good point, Chris. Well, maybe he trained in the morning and travelled to London in the afternoon. Wanted to say his goodbyes to all his friends at Manchester City. But yeah, Chris, let's forget about that result. Let's be positive. Let's get this positivity back. I want to be the positive me again. All throughout pre-season, I was really positive. Chris, if you remember that Spurs Chat podcast, I was really positive. I was really positive. I was really excited for the season. I could not believe my eyes what I was seeing. But De Zerbi said it, we weren't ready. And no, we weren't. Pre-season, the World Cup, I hate.
Do you know what I don't get with people? Charlie, do you know what I don't get with people sometimes is when we go on a run of winning 4, 5, 6 games on the trot, then people start saying, oh my God, we're going to win the league. Oh, we're going to do this. We're going to do this. And then you lose a few games and then people are like, we're getting relegated. Oh, this is going to happen. Don't overreact to 1 or 2 matches. Just stay calm.
Well, Chris, I'm not a very calm person. I like to be very active, out and about. I'm a very sporty person. I have football training started my new team, so I'm very happy. But yeah, look, there's improvement to come, and Tottenham fans just believe in this project, believe in this De Zerbi project. I'm telling you, because he is one of the best managers in the Premier League. And yes, he doesn't have the record of some of these other managers and this fantastic. Oh, look at all these trophies. Yeah, but tactically, he's already proven it. He kept us up. He came in. That was mission impossible. He had 7 games to save us. When that first game arrived, we were sitting 18th in the table. Do you know how difficult it is to come out of 18th place? It's practically impossible. But once you're down there, it's very tough. And he came in and he done it. He got those 3 wins we needed, and he done it.
Right. Charlie, we've got our final guest to go to. So thanks so much for joining us. And hopefully we'll talk to you again very soon.
Charlie Talks Tottenham. Subscribe. Thank you very much. Subscribe to Chris. New thing. 5 positives, 5 things to improve on every week. We're coming back. Positivity. No. Positivity. Come on, you Spurs. Tomorrow against Charlton. Chris, do another fan show on Thursday. I'll be on it. Oh, we were brilliant against Charlton. But look, I better shut up. You've got someone to come on.
I don't think I can do another fan show on Thursday.
Chris,
Craig's not going to come back. Craig gets me to promise that we're going to do a strict 2 hours, and it's now nearly 3. He's not happy.
It's supposed to be 2 hours. It's supposed to be 2 hours.
Craig,
Here he goes. Here he goes.
Talking to all these Tottenham fans. I'd love it, you know.
Yep.
I think this.
Yeah.
I'd love to do that.
5 minutes each, Charlie. That's what I've always said. 5 minutes each because we get 3 more guests.
I think I've done more than 20 minutes.
You have.
He just wants me to cut you off when you're mid-flow, but yeah. Right, Charlie, speak to you soon. See you, mate.
Love you, Charlie. See you later, mate.
Craig, before we go to Hussein in Congo, who will be our last guest this evening, talk to me very quickly about your contacts in your phone book, Arsenal fans, West Ham fans, etc. If you got abuse and you got all these messages, saying this, what, that, and the other, what do you do?
Ignore it. I think is the main thing, and I think there's a good advice to Charlie, just to if it winds you up, and he's going to when you're Charlie's age, and even when you're older, it winds you up. But just block them, get rid of them out of your life, and I've got gooner friends. Mostly all the gooners I know are actually nice fellas. They do come out of the woodwork when they win something, and they did last season. And it was mildly annoying, but if it gets on your nerves, just block them. Just block them. Don't need it in your life.
Right, let's go to our final guest, Hussein. Hussein, we haven't spoke to you for a long while. How are you?
I haven't seen you in months. I don't know where you've been hiding, but welcome back.
We are here every single day. I'm here every single day talking about Tottenham. Craig's had a few holidays here and there, but
it was so dry this summer without you guys. So,
yeah. How are you feeling right now as a Spurs fan? I don't know how much of the show you've listened to, but
first of all, I need to say I can't hear Craig for the rest of the, so we have to keep it optimistic. All right. He can't hear us either. It seems.
You can't hear him, or you're choosing not to hear him.
I can't hear him at all.
Oh.
Isn't that weird though? If that's true, because people can't hear you.
Evil.
What do you mean if it's true?
Well, I never know if Hussein's joking because he does like a joke, but
we are trying to make you laugh today, Craig.
Oh, see, he can hear me. See, he's lying. He lies like a cheap rug.
And you can laugh. So, Chris,
so you got such an honest. Well,
yeah, I think we have to stay optimistic because we've just had an amazing transfer window. We've never had. I mean, when's the last time every single player we bought was starting caliber? Right, our whole team has improved. The whole bar has been reset. The average quality of this team has just taken a huge step up, and it's going to take us 6, 7, 8 games to gel, and we should not panic. But after 6, 7, 8 games, I think we'll be singing. I think you'll see proper football, and it's a completely new team. So I wasn't even bothered. I mean, it wasn't nice to lose in that manner. It wasn't nice to see the quality of the effort more than anything, but I was not upset at all. I think for the next 2 months, I won't even bother. I think it's after that we'll see. We'll start climbing the table and we'll start playing some good football. You remember when Man City came into the money? I think Mark Hughes was the manager. They broke the British transfer record for Robinho. I think they bought Craig Bellamy. They bought, I think, Wayne Bridge. They just improved their whole team. But it was only 4 years later they won their first title with Mancini, I think. And out of all the players they first built their team with, I think only one player was actually on the championship team by then, right? So we've just taken a huge step up in the quality of our players, and I think we should be all very pleased with what's going on.
I think that's a good point, Hussein, actually, because so many times in the past we've bought players that are not going to improve that first 11. And I think it's safe to say that you could argue all the players we've bought so far are going to could easily come into this first 11 and make a difference. Even Robbo, people are saying he's past it. I think he was one of our better players on Saturday, actually. It's refreshing that the club are doing this. And I'll come back to what we were talking about earlier, Hussein. Is it now on De Zerbi and the players? Because the board and the management have certainly backed this manager.
No, they've backed him with everybody that he wants. If you listen to every player that's joined, they've cited the manager as the reason that they've joined. So I think the players want him, and he obviously chose them. So I think now we just need to give them time and give them space to work, and I think it'll work out. I was a bit disappointed to see they didn't really make enough of an effort, I think, to keep Spence. And Vuskovic is going to be a player. I mean, I watched his match, and he's going to be good. So I was a bit disappointed to see those two leave. But otherwise, we've had a really good window. So I'm not worried. And we probably can add one or two more before the window closes.
You're saying what do Spurs need to do to make it a 10 out of 10 window?
I think if Gapco comes in, that should be a 10 out of 10. And probably a couple people could leave. I mean, the squad's quite big. I know half of it's injured, but they will come back at some point. So we do need to let 2-3 people go. But I think if we can get Gapco in and Marmoush, obviously, then I think we're going to be okay. And that's maybe a backup right back if we're really being picky now. I wouldn't ask for more. It's a lot of players to bring in and try and get them to start working as a unit in one window. I mean, we've done in one window what we were supposed to do in the next 3.
Yeah, and as it was mentioned earlier, I can't remember who mentioned it, might be Matt, that I think it's unheard of almost for Spurs to do this amount of business, but it's quite dangerous in some ways of bringing in 7-8 players, which is totally rejuvenating. Well, it's going to rejuvenate the squad, but these players have got to gel. They've got to have time to gel, haven't they? So
we can't get worse than where we were. So I don't mind if we change all 11, because I mean, we're not going to come 17th no matter how badly these 11 play.
Yeah.
Where do you think Spurs will finish?
Where do I want them to finish? I think we will.
The reason I asked that, because we were talking about this on the podcast the other night, that there are, out of the 20 Premier League teams, there are 9 new managers out of those 20 teams. So it's a real opportunity this season to do something, because there's a lot of transitions going on. There's a lot of changes, a lot of football clubs, a lot of players going out the door, coming in the door. So there's a lot of change in the Premier League.
Other than Arsenal, which pains me to say, who have a pretty perfect squad, there's no other team that has a squad that's close. Every single team is either going through managerial changes, huge player changes, or has severe weaknesses in the team somewhere. All of them. So top 4 is definitely possible. If you ask me, would you put money on it? Maybe not, but I think realistically we should be in a UEFA Cup spot next year. I think anything better obviously would be welcome. I mean, because you watched Chelsea yesterday, the front 3 looks outstanding, but the defense didn't scare me much. The midfield, if they lose Enzo Fernandez this week, that gets weaker. Right, you look at Man U, the defense is a shambles. You look at Man City, it's a team in flux. They've lost some big names. So I don't think there's any real team there that scares me other than our friends across the road, right?
Yeah. So give us your predictions for the Charlton match and the Newcastle match, Hussein. Give us the scores.
I don't know. I really don't know what kind of lineup we'll have tomorrow, but like I think we said earlier, I think anything less than 3-0 would be a disappointment. And I think Newcastle will sneak with a 2-1 victory. I think so. But everyone should just calm down and just relax, and it's going to be a good year. And the next 5-6 games, like I said, we're going to have some random results, and we shouldn't panic.
Yeah.
Because look at Brentford. I mean, they had 4 new signings, only 1 started. A very settled team. They had a very good preseason. They're very well drilled. There was no new players really. They had to integrate. The one guy that did owned the whole match. I mean, he was so good. So I think we'll catch up. We just need a few weeks.
Yeah.
And I was surprised why our fitness levels were so bad compared. We have had a lot of those players there since the first day of preseason. That was my only concern, was that we were well off it physically. We talk about traveling, but we played Chelsea in Australia. They didn't look as bad as we did yesterday.
That's a good point.
Right. So I think Pedro Porro, we saw Merino play. We saw a few of the other Spanish guys play in all their respective leagues. So I don't know why he wasn't on the bench. The coach won't tell us what's wrong with Van de Ven, other than something about an airplane. So I don't know what's really wrong with him. Van Heck.
He's on the bench on Wednesday, Van de Ven, which it'd be great to see him back.
Yeah. Because, I mean, you look at Van Heck and him, that's the future starting center backs for the Netherlands, right? So you believe whatever partnership they're going to have for club and country, it's going to last quite a few years. And I'm looking forward to that.
Hussein, thanks so much for joining us, and sorry for keeping you waiting this evening.
No
and hopefully we can have you on a lot longer next time.
I'd love that. Okay.
Thanks so much. Cheers.
Cheers.
Craig, thank you for bearing with us, and thank you for taking the extra time. I know we were only meant to do a 2-hour show. It is 3 hours, so apologies about that. Final question for you. What are your score predictions? How would you like to see Spurs set up against Charlton? And Hussein said there he expects a Newcastle win on Saturday in the Premier League. Like I touched on earlier, our home record in the Premier League has to improve. 3 wins, and that third win was the one against Everton on the final day of the season. I think it was Burnley on the opening weekend, then it was Brentford in December, and then it was Everton on the final day. Most of the time in league competition, certainly under Thomas Frank, Igor Tudor, there were a lot of boos at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium last season, and we don't want anything like that again. So a positive result for me against Newcastle in the Premier League is absolutely vital.
Yeah, definitely. I want to see, look, I'll go back to it. I want to see a strong lineup tomorrow. I want to see us go for it. I want to see a convincing display and a positive display tomorrow against Charlton, and then just take that momentum into the Newcastle game at the weekend. I just think it's vitally important to get that momentum. We saw it last season. At the end of the season, we went on a mini run, didn't we, to get ourselves out of the crap. And it just goes to show how important that was. I just want to see a bit more aggression as well. You know, we've said before, we're just too nice sometimes. So let's just go for it. Let's start off well at our own stadium. Let's make that place a fortress, because De Zerbi is going to want to turn it into a fortress. He's far from it at the moment. It's somewhere where teams look forward to coming to play. We have to turn that round, and it's got to start against Charlton tomorrow, and then hopefully against Newcastle at the weekend.
Savio to start Wednesday?
Hopefully, if he's registered in time. It looks like he was. I think he said so.
Yeah, he is.
I don't see why not. Just sling him in, see what he can do. What could go wrong?
Yeah. Right, Craig, thank you so much for joining us on this first fan show of the 26-27 campaign. Not the positive show that I thought it was going to be, particularly after the transfer window we've had, but I think the fans need to see a lot more before that positivity really does kick in. Hopefully, it will be a positive result on Wednesday against Charlton. Hopefully it will be a positive result back at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on Saturday, and hopefully a lot more of us are smiling and feeling more positive. And of course, there's only 7 days left of the transfer window. What will happen in the remaining 7 days in terms of more incomings and more departures? Let's wait and see. But thank you so much for all of your incredible support. As always, Craig, thank you for this evening. Thanks to everybody who has come on. If you would like to come on a future fan show, please do just send me an email. It is tottenhamfanchris@gmail.com, and it'd be great to talk to you on a future show. Thanks for all of the comments. I'm sorry we haven't had time to read some of the comments out. Some people have asked why we're not streaming live on Facebook. There was a problem a couple of days ago regarding the connection on Facebook. I am trying to sort it, but at the moment we're live on YouTube and on X. But all of these episodes are available on all major audio platforms. And plus, I will also upload this to Facebook so you can see it there as well if you'd like to. Have a great week, everyone. We will see you back on the Spurs Chat podcast on Wednesday evening after hopefully Spurs have progressed to round 3 of the Carabao Cup. Have a good week. See you soon. Come on, you Spurs.
Thank you.